This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome to a fast start to our day. We were slowly sort of bumbling along and all of a sudden a whole hyena, well a hyena, actually not a whole bunch but one, and tracks for another one are bounding their way down towards the dam area, and so I don't know what's going on, but they are in seriously high speed pursuit of something. So sometimes when that happens in these overcast conditions it can be wild dogs, so I just wanted to come down and have a little quick look and see what's going on. But before we get into everything, my name's Tristan. On camera I've got Sebastian this morning, and it is, well, a chilly, cold, wet start to our day here in Djuma, and it means that it should be quite an interesting morning. We haven't had a bit of rain in quite some time. I suppose we can't really call it rain, it's just a little kind of drizzle that settled down, almost mist more than anything else. I've lost this hyena, I don't know where it is, but it could potentially mean that we might get some interesting stuff happening this morning, and certainly will have settled the dust a little bit, which is quite nice. But remember, we are coming to you live, so you can ask questions. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, also at FC on the YouTube chat. Keep them relevant to what you're seeing on the screen, and we shall answer as many as we can. Good stuff. Now, I don't see where the hyena's gone. It left us for dead, running across Vuyatela and kind of heading down this way, so I'm not sure. Taylor did call me now and I didn't quite copy what she said because it was as we were being counted down live, so I just want to ask her what she said. Taylor. Sorry, what was your last message? I didn't copy. Now this hyena's run here, you can actually see where it's run. Look at the track on the right-hand side. This is quite a nice thing about when it rains a little bit, but you'll see there's a line that's running down the right-hand side. So that's the hyena, and it's at full tilt. And because it's running, it's creating quite a deep gouge in the sand, and there's a bit of moisture that's on the top, and that's lifting that top kind of wet sand and depositing it on the dry sand. And so you get this very clear track that's running down Twin Dams Road. So where this hyena is heading and why it's heading down there, I have absolutely no idea. We can try and investigate for as far as possible and see. I was going to go check the western side of the reserve and go and see if there's any sign of Shidulu or Hukumuri or the Nkuhuma Pride coming back, as well as the Aubrey's Den site for the hyenas. And well, this has now foiled my plan a little bit. I'm going to try and see if I can keep up with where these tracks go, but I think it might be a little tricky, to be honest. Looks like this hyena is just completely on the run. Anyway, let's send you across to Taylor in the meantime so she can say good morning and tell us what her plans are for this very gloomy day.
Good morning. I'm freezing. Darby and I are so cold today. I'm Taylor. Obviously Darby is on camera with me today, and we are going to try and stay warm. That's going to be our plan today. We don't really know what we're going to be doing. We're just kind of bumbling until we find something. That's what we're going with today. So we've had a little bit of rain, which means it's not easy to see the tracks because they've got little sprinkles in them, and also it's overcast and the light is not particularly nice, so it's really difficult to kind of track. We've even got our rain roofs on today. Woo! Look at that. So we're going to be seeing lots and lots of black bars. Darby, no birding today. Well, at least none in tops of the trees. Oh, wonderful. Wondering iPhone. It is cold. It is 57 Fahrenheit now. It's the chilliest it's been for quite some time. And Emma knows me so well now that she knew I forgot what the weather temperature is. So as she fed me your question, she also very kindly fed me the temperatures. Great teamwork there, Emma. Anyway, so Emma's directing, in case you didn't know, you don't know who. Now she's chanting all sorts of amazing quotes. What did you just say? Teamwork makes the dream work. Sorry, it came. I didn't hear properly. Okay, cool. So we're bumbling, like I said. Right, whose tracks are these? I don't know where Tingana's gone, but I hope he's got a kill somewhere. What would be nice is if we just find his tracks are something obvious, like if he caught something on the road, we'd be able to see that fairly easily. Otherwise it might be a bit of a struggle. Anybody see anything interesting on the dam cam last night? I haven't checked Twitter this morning, I must be honest, so If you did, please let us know again. Hashtag SafariLive, or talk to us on the YouTube chat. I don't know what that was. Like a little baker or some kind of antelope just crossing the road. So I think we're going to do a lot. Oh, there we go. There actually is a little baker. Awesome. At least I get to show you something. But now I've forgotten how to position the cars. Have I ruined it completely? Oh, perfect. Sorry. Can you still see it? It's actually, there it goes. Look at that. So, little daycare. Also freezing cold this morning. There it goes. Again, just the roof, got the roofs on, so that's going to pop in every now and then. Oh, okay, fair enough. So thank you very much for that insight. Apparently there was only one common diker at the pan last night, coming down for a little drink. Fantastic stuff. But not really wanting to hang around. Just going to look for another spot, probably trying to find a bit of a warm spot too. But now, as you know, it's not just Tristan and I out taking you on this safari. We've got Steve, he's in the Mara, and I think it sounded like the weather temperature there was a little better than what we're experiencing in South Africa.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle here up in Kenya, where we can't help but stop once again for the morning sunrise, where the temperature is a nice 16 degrees Celsius, 66 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a beautiful day. The thunderstorm that was around last night seemingly just dissipated on the horizon and never got us wet. Fantastic. Good morning, folks. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Big James on camera, and we are out in the Mara. What will we find this morning? Well, we're going to do a similar route today. We're going to try and find the wildebeest herds again, heading sort of in the westerly direction, and see if we can find those lions from yesterday and see exactly what's going on. See if there are cubs, see if the mating pair is still doing what they're doing. But on the way, who knows what could be found along the way. Please drop your comments, hashtag SafariLive, follow us on the YouTube chat stream, let us know how you're doing. Good morning, everyone. Look at that. It's just gorgeous. Never gets old. Even the zebra don't tire of the sunset, although they don't seem to turn their head to it. Thanks, Linda. It is a beautiful shot. Can't really take too much credit for it. I just stopped the car and James is doing the work. The zebra are standing in frame, picture perfect, and well, the light with the horizon, there's nothing more to be said, really. But I always find it interesting how these zebra, they always have their back to the sunrise. Maybe looking at the receding darkness on the other side. Who knows how long they've been doing that for. Shauna, it's actually at 1 degree Celsius warmer than it has been the last few days. There's a little bit of a nip in the air, but it's actually quite nice. I've already taken off my second layer of gloves. So I've got my fingerless gloves on, but I'm feeling like it's quite warm already this morning. I feel a little bit toasty. But as we start moving, no doubt the wind chill factor moving across our body will start to cool us down a little bit more. Zebras on the mountain. I'm pretty sure it's the same family as yesterday. We heard some lions calling down the base of the mountain, so maybe we'll find some of them just moving around below the Olololo range here. There's loads of hyena tracks around on the ground over here. I can't help myself with tracks, folks. I keep having to look at them, although we don't do too much tracking out here. Beautiful. Kurt, well, that is a question that a lot of people would like to know, I'm sure. Why are they black and white? Or are they black? Or are they white? Or are they both? Well, the skin, in fact, of a zebra is black. They have got black and white stripes. The dazzle of zebra. A group of zebra is quite camouflaged against each other in that when they move next to each other, there's an optical illusion created that makes them blend in with each other. Beautiful trot that little gentleman did over there. They blend in with each other, and when youngsters are standing next to the adults, they blend in completely, and it's very difficult for a predator to pick them up off of the adult's body. But there's a few theories out there. Someone went and took two. I've told this story before, so forgive me those of you who've possibly heard it before. Oh, zebras are quite tactile. They like a little bit of touching. Ooh, didn't like that one. They love to touch each other and rub each other. But they took 3 model zebra, basically just models. One was black, one was white, and one was striped, and they electrified the animal. Not an actual animal, it was just a model, and then they put a cage underneath, and then they dragged all 3 of these models through the African wilderness the same time of day. All the sort of environmental factors were the same, and then they counted how many tsetse flies, biting flies, were accumulated, because obviously every fly that landed on the animal got electrocuted, fell off, landed on the tray underneath, and they counted them. And the white one had an enormous amount of biting flies, the black one had less, and the striped one had the least amount. So from a hypothesis point of view, the stripes possibly confuse the biting insects. That is one of the theories that I know that's actually been studied. Of late, they've had some studies that have proven that, or some people have always thought that the black and white stripes attract different heat. The black obviously absorbing the heat and the white reflecting it, causing sort of a convection current across the body. And when you watch zebra, they will spend the entire day standing in the sunshine, where all the other animals, well, they hide in the shade. Zebras seem to be quite immune to the heat. So they think different fat layers with underneath each of the sort of stripe patterns causes a different sort of heat movement, which allows them to cool down. But recent studies have caused or proven that to be completely wrong. Gordon, they do not bray like a mule, really. They do a very high-pitched, I'm not going to do it now, it's too early in the morning and I haven't had enough coffee. They do a very high-pitched, almost like a donkey sort of sound. You definitely know it's a horse-like animal when you hear it. We'll try and get one of them to do it to you later. When we hear one, we'll point it out. Or maybe once my mouth is a little bit more sort of ready for some morning antics like that, we'll try and mimic one of them. We don't want to scare these zebra in the early morning with an alarm call. But they are very gorgeous with their mane of hair there. And now they are starting to feed. They have survived the night, ladies and gentlemen. The hyena that have moved through, the lions that were calling, have not claimed one of these that we know of. Enjoying the long grass. But anyway, we are going to continue on down the mountain. We are in the reserve already, but let's get down there and see exactly what's happening. From our sunshine up here in the Masai Mara, I believe it is raining on Tristan's head.
Well, it's not raining right now, Steve. It's just cold and wet, and it was raining earlier. Now, we were looking for a hyena, and now, of course, it's going to run away, but there it goes. It's going bounding down. So we were sitting here just listening in the hope. Sorry about the poll, everybody. We've got our rain roofs on, and that makes it a bit tricky. But we were sitting listening to see if we can find any sign of these hyenas, and it walked out behind us and has now run away. And so gone down. It looked like it might be pretty. I didn't get a really good look at it. I just saw it kind of, its bottom disappearing down the bank there, and it stopped in the actual drainage line itself. So I was just wanting to see where it ends up going, but it's kind of not running like it was anymore. So whatever it got it kind of to this point, it doesn't really seem like it's too interested or vested anymore. It seems as though it's kind of decided, I'm just going to waddle about and listen and use my nose more than anything else, and it's kind of disappeared into this thick stuff where we can't follow. So we'll carry on and see what else is out and around. So Diane, animals, there's no real mammals come out in the rain that don't come out normally. Copy that. Can I come join you? I'm here on Central. So it sounds like exactly what we thought. What we thought it would be is that it sounds like the dogs have arrived at the camp, which is why these hyenas are probably running. So that makes sense. But Diane, basically, no animals the mammals are out day and night. I mean, you might have a better chance of seeing things like aardvark or those kind of things that are more nocturnal because it's dark and cold. But what you will see that starts to come out is a lot more insects. You're going to get a lot more plant life. You're going to get a lot more in the way of what was I going to say? Snails and snakes and scorpions and those kind of things will all start coming out now. So the rain will bring about those kind of things. Basically what happens is, as the increase in plant material goes up, so the rest of, here's the dog tracks here going down the road, so the rest of the animals also can feed off that plant life, which means there's an increase in that. Also insects start to hatch, and then you get a knock-on effect that rolls through. So it's quite interesting. Now this is also where hyenas have been running around. I wonder if the dogs didn't kill something and everybody's kind of running back and forth. Now we're gonna have to move our bums a little bit if we should try and get in that area. Sorry, Emma, I can't hear a thing. There's too much wind and I'm driving too fast at the moment, which is not ideal. So we'll try and figure it out. And it's interesting because we were going to go to Gallagher Pan. Well, I was thinking about going to Gallagher Pan, and then I was like, we went there the last 3 days. Maybe I must just check somewhere else down towards the normal dam. And I should have gone to Gallagher Pan because we would have found the dogs there originally. But you can see their tracks have run along this road a little bit. And so I wonder if maybe the rest of them are not around. Now, let's see if we can try and get into that area and see if we can try and find these guys. We're still a little bit of a way off, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Steve in the Mara and see whether or not he's got anything of interest. It sounds like he has some big, large animals to show you.
Thank you very much from the rainy Juma. I'm hoping it is a nice, substantial rain to take away the dust, fill the watering holes, and provide the animals with some much needed grass, like these elephants are moving through the plains again. Every morning we seem to have a herd of zebra, buffalo and elephant greeting us on our way into the park to make us remember where we are exactly. We are not in a city, we are in the wilderness, the true open expanse of the Mara Triangle, which is an absolute blessing. A nice herd of ellies moving through here. I'm not sure if you can hear that. It sounds like a tinkerbird calling. See, I can't even whistle. My mouth is still so dry. Need another coffee. Can you hear that on the ambient? It's very soft. Very soft. Anyway, I'll find out who it is shortly. And we have the elephants dwarfed by the beautiful torchwood trees. You can see how we were talking yesterday. About the browsing line and the height the trees need to get to prevent themselves being sort of at risk of herbivory. And those elephants are not small animals. Yes, the trees are towering above them. So even the fire line would be sort of above the elephant's back there when the fire is at full burning capacity. So the trees spread themselves out so as to maximize their photosynthetic potential, providing some nice shade for the animals as well. Because as we know, down in Juma, the torchwoods are very well browsed, very well eaten. So if there are any small babies that are around, imagine them precariously trying to grow underneath that tree. They would not get anywhere. Anisha, that young elephant there is probably around a year. You can see when it's close to mum, maybe about a year and a bit. It's close to mum. It's not underneath the belly anymore. It's sort of just above the belly line. Generally, the general rule under the belly is under a year. Obviously needs to be able to get under there quite easily and shelter from the sunshine, and also to be able to suckle effectively. And the fact that it's also trying to pick up grasses and leaves there with its trunk. So probably about 1.5 years now, somewhere. Let's see, yeah, could even be closing between 1.5 years and 2 years by the fact that it's actively trying to feed. And there, beautiful scenes. Very peaceful here in the morning. The first morning we've come out without any wind. Gremlin, you want to know if elephants can have twins? I've heard it happen. I'm not 100% sure if I've ever witnessed it. I mean, the gestation period for one young elephant is 22 months, and they come out pretty small but still extremely big for a baby. I mean, they come out weighing over 120 pounds. So having 2 of those in the belly, can you imagine the stress that would cause for the adult? But I have a feeling that a lot of animals have the potential for twins. I'm not 100% sure if I've ever witnessed elephants having twins. Quite often you do see a female with 2 youngsters, but it might be just her doing the nanny duty for the day. They are quite closely knit family. They do look after each other's youngsters. There's always auntie or granny there to help out. Help out with the hard work of looking after the kids. Tanya, you want to know about the white stuff on the Ellie's eyes? It's essentially just it's sleep, I think. You know, when we get a bit of sleep in our eyes, it accumulates. But the elephants have secretions on their eyes just like we do, and it accumulates and collects the dust, and then that white stuff sort of ends up there. They don't have the benefit of mirrors to make themselves look pretty like we do every morning. So quite often that sort of accumulation happens there. The white stuff basically is just sleep or sort of eye juice coming off of the eye with a lot of dust on it. And that is the only answer I can give you. There might be another answer to it, but generally you see it accumulating right down in the corner, sort of around the tear duct area, which is kind of where our eye gunk accumulates as well. And you can see that it's a little bit chilly this morning. That baby's got his ears flattened on. Cal6, I would love a cup of coffee. Absolutely. Well, thank you for the offer. We have prepared 2 flasks of coffee this morning, so we are well and truly prepared out here. So thank you very much for the offer. You can see that youngster's ears are plastered to its body. It's not trying to give off too much heat at the moment. It's not cold this morning, but the elephants up here I don't think are used to getting as cold as the elephants down in Djuma. Temperatures get a lot cooler down there. 16 degrees Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit is fresh for them, but it's still not at all cold compared to what we experience in the south. Sam Jane, we want to know if elephants, males, are more hairy than females. I don't think so. I mean, on a body surface sort of scale, they're bigger, so they probably would have on the body surface slightly more hair, but per unit area, no, I wouldn't say there's more hair. All across the elephant's body are sort of these sharp, bristly little hairs all over the body. You don't really see them unless you come really up close to an elephant, and they're actually quite hard on the hand, like the bristles on a very hard brush, except very well spread out on sort of the cuticles of their skin. So per body size, I'd say elephant males have got more hair on their body, but they've also got more skin. So I hope that answers your question. The youngsters seem to have a little bit more when they're younger, and I think that's to just assist a little bit in keeping them a little bit warmer. So peaceful, isn't it, to just spend time in the morning with these ellies. And you think, what is it that we have that's so important in our day? Elephant, sentient beings, just walking, feeding. Where are they going? Well, probably to eventually have some water and then slowly come back and drink. Their day filled with just activity of feeding and moving and bathing and caressing each other, communicating with each other. Close-knit families, no stress, no other tasks other than that. Maybe a little nap under a tree. Very simple, really. Simple lives are the best. We think, we try and overcomplicate things. Learn a lot from watching elephants behave. Okay, well, we're going to move on, continue on our route, and let's go back down to rainy South Africa.
Well, we've popped into the area because Tristan hasn't managed to relocate on those wild dogs just yet. So he's asked me if I'd come and just quickly start checking the boundaries to just add another vehicle into the area. Goodness gracious, but we're obviously on a boundary road, so it's exceptionally bumpy. How much fun, hey Darby? It's like a kid into the fan. Trying to avoid them as best as I can, but that requires me to swerve around on the road. So we're just quickly checking to make sure that they haven't crossed out. We all know how fast wild dogs can run, they can move, and they could really be anywhere by now. Especially if they've picked up the scent of something and are on the hunt. So we're just going to keep scanning and hope that we see flashes of black and white bounding through the bushes. We can tell Tristan, or at least one of us can try and get them on camera. I'm not sure which pack it is, if it's the pack with, well, there's so many packs with puppies at the moment, I suppose it wouldn't matter which one we saw, hey? But we'll just keep on looking. Alright, let's turn that down a little bit. Everyone's very excited on the radio about wild dogs. Anisha, if only if we knew where there was, that would be easier to try and find the wild dogs. So checking also behind us, because sometimes you know they can end up getting behind you. Want to check something? No, it's a tree. Don't be fooled. Okay, there's quite a few impala around here. No, lots of impala tracks everywhere. I'll just quickly pop onto Impala Plains just to look. See if they haven't come running this side. Oh, I think, what is that? Birds? Wait, over the bumps. So in the distance, can you see the elephant? Have you seen the elephants, David? I mean, they're very well hidden. They are at 12 o'clock in the tree line. Let me go back. If I reverse, we'll get a better view. I'll have to go back over the hump again. Oh, wait, you'll see. I'm pretty sure I saw 2 elephants feeding. I could be wrong. Maybe they were stumps, but no, there. So, just off to the left, I'm pretty sure there's elephants. Yes. So, like, in there. There. Elephant. See? 2. I wasn't telling stories. There are actually 2 elephants there, just in the distance, but that's incredible. Those trees have got absolutely no leaves on them at the moment. So it's basically just a few twigs here and there. And how amazing is that? That the biggest land mammal can quite easily be camouflaged by just a couple of branches, sticks and branches. Now, if only the wild dogs would come charging on through here, that would be fantastic. Anna Marie, I don't know if elephants can get mange. I highly doubt it. And the reason why I say this is because their hair is very different to Okay, sorry, heard a car and I thought it was a safari vehicle racing, because if that was the case, then I knew that something was up, but it wasn't. And, sorry, so what I was going to say is their hair is very sort of coarse. It kind of almost feels like plastic, and they don't have very much of it. It's, it's just more few and far between in comparison to how lions and the other animals are all covered, I suppose, in fur. And their skin is really, really tough too. So I don't know if mange, maybe there's a specific kind of mange for elephants, but I doubt it. I've never heard of an elephant or ever seen an elephant sort of getting mange. So I don't think it's possible. And I think it has just got something to do with the thickness of their skin and the fact that I don't think that they can really feed on the type of hair that an elephant has. Goodness gracious, Darby, we're all going to be in trouble in camp. We better start drinking cold medicine. Sure. With the temperatures that are just fluctuating from exceptionally hot to absolutely freezing cold in just a couple of hours. Right. Steve, however, is looking at also some elephants that are, I think, probably out in the open, and he has a better view than we do.
We do indeed. This elephant is the same one we found yesterday with the left-handed tusk, and I know a lot of you out there posted on Twitter how much you enjoyed watching him eat. Well, he's decided to come to the table once again this morning, and we found him not far away from where we had him yesterday. The southpaw, the left-handed elephant with his well-worn down left tusk, is using his trunk to grab at what is, I think, still couch grass, which he's eating. Yep, lots of couch grass there, and he's ripping up. Now, interesting enough, couch grass is in fact a pioneer grass because it's able to colonize an area by vegetative reproduction, by growing along the top of the ground and sort of covering the ground like a mat. And then once it's done so, then it turns into a subclimax grass and actually forms very nice lawns and very tasty indeed. Elephant enjoy it, buffalo enjoy it, hippos will mow them down to make a beautiful, beautiful lawn. And at the same time, from an ecological point of view, they stabilize the soil and provide lots of organic material and rooting area on top of the surface. So an erosion saver, well as a food source, and a very nice place to lie down if you happen to be tired and wanted to lie on the grass. Couch grass, as the name implies, is very comfortable. I remember yesterday we could hear him ripping at the grass. You can actually hear it again this morning. How apt Deja Vu's name pops up as we spend time the following morning with an elephant doing exactly the same thing. You want to know how often they have to sleep? Well, essentially during the 24-hour day, elephant he could probably spend an hour, half an hour napping just on his feet like that. But then every now and again they will find a bit of a mound or a bit of a slope. He uses his foot to rip it up. He's not looking for the roots. And then he will lie on his back or on his side for an hour or two. I've known of elephants to sleep through the entire night. A lot of people believe elephants only sleep for very short periods, but I've had an elephant who was sleeping in my camp up in the northern Kruger who slept and snored. The reason I know he was there because he snored the entire night. And it was probably about a 6 hour, maybe 6.5 hour sleep. Well, that was quite something. The entire time was snoring. I thought it was one of the people working with me. I found out it was not, even though he did compete quite well with the elephant's snore. But people who look after elephants, there's lots of elephant keepers around the world, they will tell you that elephants actually will sleep, but that's because they probably run out of food. They spend an enormous amount of time walking around eating. They need to feed on 300 kilograms of wet food every day, a big guy like this. So there's no time to sleep. You have to just keep eating. You have to keep eating, which is what he does. And we spend the time with him, and he just doesn't stop. He's breaking the grass once again, using his foot. The grass, because it is photosynthesizing and green. Not talking about James. James and I have only met, and I haven't heard whether he snores or not. His tent is too far away from me, but I'm talking about my time up in the northern Kruger National Park, and I had someone working with me there at the time who, well, worst snorer I think I've ever experienced. But back to the grass, he is feeding on the reproductive parts, so the above ground parts, the green parts. In South Africa we see the elephants at this time of year, or the last few months, ripping the grass up because the grass has taken all the nutrients into the roots itself. That is where the nutrients are, but at the moment the grass is growing, so the active parts are above ground. So that is what he's going for, and he knows it, he can smell it, he can taste it. Very, very versatile trunk with the two little fingers at the end. So he's doing all of that pretty much blind. He doesn't need to know what he's doing. His trunk is very well adept at just sort of gripping and ripping. He can smell which one he wants, he can smell the greenness on it. I mean, if you've heard of the term, a lot of people who enjoy drinking certain white wines, there's always, or Sauvignon Blanc, it's always described as sort of cut grass. And when an elephant is feeding like this, and they've got much better smell than we do, they know exactly what green grass they're looking for. And if they're particularly looking for a forb or something growing in and around this grassy area, they'd be smelling it out, walking around through the grass and actually picking out exactly what they're looking for. Just by the sense of smell. We see it down in Djuma with the elephants feeding on fallen trees that have got grass or plants that are hiding in underneath. They just stick their trunk in there and they grab exactly what they want to, like those people who pick out specific sweets out of jelly babies, the colours. We all know what we're doing, so do the elephants. Okay, well, I think Tristan is on the search for wild dogs. Let's go and see if he's managed to find them in the rainy Djuma.
No, not yet, unfortunately, and it's the worst possible morning to look for wild dogs. It is so freezing cold, my hand feels like it's about to fall off, and so do my ears. It was not a good day to have a haircut yesterday, because everything is just cold and freezing. Anyway, we have tracks for the dogs where they crossed over vertical access exactly where we started our morning, and where the hyena came running down, so if we just stayed there we would have been okay. But they kind of ran off in a sort of southwesterly direction, and so I'm trying to see if I can find where they've gone from there. It doesn't look like they've come out of lock yet, and so I'm hoping that if we just go onto one of these clearings, we're eventually going to catch them kind of moving about. But it's been quite long now since they were last seen, and so we know with wild dogs, particularly in conditions like this, is that they can move quite far. So we're trying to catch up and trying to get there as quick as we can, but it's a bit sort of difficult given that we know how fast they move and that no one was actually with them when they were seen. They were seen from the camp, and so that makes life a little harder. I was hoping that they were going to drink water and stay there for a bit, but it sounded like it's the Investec breakaway pack. They said they thought they saw 5 or 6 puppies, so it sounds like it could be from that pack, and we'll try and see if we can find them. I'm hoping that we can get at least a glimpse. Where Taylor is probably the best place. She's on Triple M, so she's got a nice long field of view, and so she'll be able to pick up anything that moves around that area, which is good. So she's west of where I am, not far west, but she is west, and so that's going to help us a lot if the dogs come out on that side of the reserve. But I mean, I've done now pretty much most of this western side and done the loops around and still can't find them. So Carol, it depends on how they've been behaving. If they've been a bit naughty, then we don't give them the seatbelt, and then they have to hold on tight while we drive around looking for the dogs. But if they've been behaving themselves, then we'll give them a seatbelt and let them kind of strap themselves in. No, they don't have any seatbelts at all. This is a good exercise in balance, concentration, and, well, I don't know, core strength in order to stay upright. Is it that right? So there we go. So Seb says so. There's some elephants over there, so that's not what we're looking for. Right, now I will come back to them a little bit later. They are just milling about in the bushes on the right hand side here, so they seem very calm, which means wild dogs have not come past here. Yes, very, very calm, those Ellies. So I wonder where these dogs went. What tracks are these? Let's have a look. These are hyenas, where they've been running around. Doggies, where are you? It seems like they're in this block on my right hand side because I don't see any tracks for them coming out anywhere. They go in here, but there's nothing coming out, so that would tend to suggest that maybe, just maybe, they might have killed something inside here and they're all just busy feeding and cleaning up, and that's why the puppies' tracks go in here. We might just have to drive in on those tracks and see. The problem with wild dogs is if they aren't on a kill, you've got no chance if you drive in on the tracks, because you'll never cover the ground that they'll cover through a thicket effectively. If you, as well as being able to actually see their tracks, will be very tricky through here. So I was kind of hoping that I would have found them on the road, but I don't know, wild dogs and me don't gel very well. I don't do very well at finding them for some reason. The amount of sightings I've had of dogs is not very many at all. And right now I'm not having much luck. Taylor's to the west of me, so let's send you across to her and see how much luck she's having.
We're not having much at all, but that's because I think we're freezing. So Darby, I think we're going to have to swing past camp. I'm going to have to get myself another layer. I cannot tell you how cold it is out here. And I know you all think us South Africans are babies because it doesn't really get cold. But you can't blame us. I mean, the other day it was over 100 and now we're down to 57. But like in a day, it's not cool. It's not nice. I'm not used to this. So I'll admit that I might have to go back to camp to get a blanket because I'm that cold. But anyways, we're on Vuyatela access, and I know Tristan said that there were wild dog tracks crossing over here. So I thought, we've done the western boundary, there's nothing crossing out. There must be somewhere around here. And it wouldn't surprise me if the dogs turned back and ran straight back over their tracks again. You know, the same way that they'd sort of come from. They tend to do that quite a bit. And if they have had a big meal, they might want to go and have a drink of water afterwards. So we know where the good sources of water are, which are back near camp. So actually I'm really here for the wild dogs. What's down there on the road? That is a hyena. Yes, well, that was awesome. Been trying to test my eyes out. So all the way down there is a hyena. I'll be very impressed if any of you can identify it from here. I can't tell you. I was impressed that I managed to get the right species of animal. I mean, it was a huge gamble. That could have gone anywhere. Come on, hyena. Lead us to the wild dogs. Let's go follow it. Hi-ho, Silver! Off we go. Okay. Let's go towards the hyena. Maybe it will hear the wild dogs squabbling and lead us straight towards him. Hello, Impala. Do any of you get eaten? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going too quickly. But they were... There's just been motion, like just a blur of the reddish color of the Impala. Woo! Okay. Oh, I think these are the wild dog tracks that I'm seeing. And also lots of Impala tracks. Everyone's been sitting out on the road, I think, to try and keep warm last night. Things were running here. Oh, there's Tristan. I'll just wave at him and see if he notices us. He can't see us yet. I think it's a race now. I'm just gonna mimic him. There he is. I'm trying to get him side on for you. There. That's quite a cool shot, don't you think? How awesome is that? Thank goodness the road is nice and smooth here. Wave, Tristan! Do the dolphin. Tristan doesn't want to do it. That is so epic! How cool is that shot? That's amazing. That looked really cool. That needs to be used in an OTS. I'm just saying. That needs to be used. Hello, Tristan. No, I'm going to go back to camp to get a blanket. I'm that freezing. I've told all the viewers it's strategically searching around here for wild dogs, but I really am just freezing cold. There's Tristan, everyone. Sip, let's. Oh, it's a nice jacket Sebastian's got on. Would you like to model it for us? It doesn't close anymore. We'll get you. I'll go get pegs from camp. I'll drop them off. You can put them on the clamps. I don't know. Get on one of those bungee cords and wrap them. We can. Oh, you can still probably keep them on the roof and strap him around. Okay. Bye, Tristan. Thank you. Me neither. We don't know where they've gone. They've gone somewhere. Who knows if we'll find them. We might freeze to death searching for them. This could be our last mission. So dramatic. Right, well, Tristan and I just be dramatic, and as we search for the wild dogs. Never mind. No, I was going to send you to Steve, but apparently not. Now we'll watch Tristan drive off what should have been a sunrise, but it's a bit cloudy and overcast today. Off he goes. Classic. See, that's how he falls out of the cars, because he leans to the right too much. I could just spend my whole safari tracking down Tristan. It would be very entertaining. There they go. Pointing, doesn't know. He says they're here, they've walked here. Where have they gone? I don't know where they've gone. I don't know. I bet that's what Tristan's doing. He's having a nice, he's thinking. So funny. Right. Bye, Tristan. We'll stop harassing you now on safari, and we'll keep helping him find the wild dogs. Steve has managed to find his voice again, so let's go back to East Africa.
Well, it is not only the migration of the wildebeest and zebra that inundates the floodplains of the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle, but enormous herds of buffalo are also seen from time to time. They're moving through the long grass. They all seemingly have come from the river, from having a drink, and now heading back in towards the area of good feeding. You can see how much grass there is around and how well fed these buffalo are looking. We take a few screenshots and compare them possibly with the buffalo down in Djuma and see the body condition. The place to look at ruminants and their body condition is to look at the rump, look at the hips, how the hips standing up, and is the skin or the meat going in. For example, there's a female just here on the right that's got a little bit more over. Female on the right here that's got her bones sticking out, which is just an indication of her age really and her condition. Here she comes, that one there in the middle of shot. You can see the bones are sticking out, and look where the rump is. It's a little bit depressed. That's mainly just to do with age, and as you get a bit older the animals aren't able to digest or absorb the food as well as they are when they're younger. But most of the buffalo down in Djuma I think are starting to show that, and in the droughts of the previous year I think mainly the buffalo were all skin and bone. Up here though there's lots of good feeding. There's enormous buffalo. There must be more than 200 at least in this herd, and we only caught the back end of it. How many more have followed on in front? It's hard to say. They're having a look. The vehicle is pulled up to take a shot of them, and they're doing the characteristic buffalo look. They're always very accommodating for when photos are needed. But then they also do scare very easily and move off as one. Amazingly how quickly when they do move off as one, the youngsters that are in amongst the herd get absorbed with inside the herd, so they are not as easily picked upon. That is the characteristic inquisitive buffalo with a nose in the air. What can you smell? Much younger female that one than the previous one seen. Beautiful light coming through on the horns there. And as in Djuma, the buffalo, with their moving and their grazing, also deposits an enormous amount of organic material on the earth's surface, which is then the habitat for many, many insects, including the all-important dung beetles. for some reason. What did you hear, James? There we go. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our herd of buffalo. Moving on, as James Richard commented yesterday, and let's go back down to South Africa and Tristan Dix.
Well, we're still not winning really, as Taylor has told you all. We don't know really where they've gone, and so the last tracks we have go into this block on my right hand side. Nothing's coming out, but there was now I'm just listening to Aubrey. So it's the right tracks that we're on, but they've definitely gone into this block, but they don't come out yet, so I think they might have a kill inside here, especially that hyena that ran in here. But I just can't hear anything with this wind. I've tried to stop and listen and try and figure out where they are. Wild dogs are noisy eaters. When they're busy feeding, there's lots of squeaking and squealing, and if hyenas are on the scene, well, then there's chaos that goes on. So I was hoping that I would hear some of that, but I haven't been able to. And so what my plan is now is I'm going to go around to Impala Plains, given that that's roughly where they're heading, and then maybe just sit with those elephants, and then maybe we can hear something, or the elephants attract the dogs, and we can get pandemonium that breaks out there. So that's the kind of plan that we've got. So there we go. They're pretty much following the same tracks as what we were following, but there's nothing that comes out in those areas. So I don't know if maybe we missed something somewhere, but I don't think so. I checked quite carefully, and the tracks are quite easy to see this morning because of the moisture on the ground. They're very, very dark tracks. You can see the hyenas that have been running up and down here have got very dark tracks, and so I would imagine the dogs would have been very quick to see. We saw them quite quickly the first set of tracks that we found, and so I think in all likelihood that we may have just missed these dogs the first time. As we came up onto quarantine, I think they crossed over maybe a few minutes before we got there, and then we just missed them completely. But you never know. One must be patient, and one must try every resource to get them. Cal6, you can get wild dogs in the Mara. There's not many up there. There was a pack that was denning this year just to the in the conservancies north of the triangle, or north east of the triangle, and so there are dogs there, but it's very, very, very rare to see them. Probably find too many lions in the triangle, or in the Mara in general, actually, for dogs to do too well. So yeah, I don't know. I think you know, you find a few of them, but they're never going to be very successful. I would love to see wild dogs there in the Mara. I think it would be absolutely amazing to follow dogs through the Mara ecosystem. Must be an absolute pleasure, because you can see them from so far and film them from so far. It must be a lot easier than trying to find these little balls of energy as they bound through these thickets as if they are in a grassy area. Although they probably find a way. They've probably got underground tunnels in the Mara that makes it difficult for us to even find them there. Now, where have the Ellies gone? They were all here just now. I haven't been that long, have I? So the Ellies were all here. Can you see them? Okay, let's go around a little bit. No, sorry Emma, I was really struggling to hear you this morning. Can you just repeat the name for me? Oh, we've got dogs. No, it's a hyena. So there's hyenas coming out. Seb and I thought it was a wild dog that was coming out of the bush, but it's a hyena. So maybe the dogs are still around. Hyenas are all milling about and looking. They maybe are feeling a bit like us as to where are these wild dogs, but definitely kind of on the lookout, isn't it? His nose is kind of sniffing around in that typical hyena posture. Of course, you're going to stop right behind the pole, aren't you? I'm sorry about the pole, everybody. That is a rain cover pole, and of course that is a hyena doing what it does best, and just stop right behind the pole. Now off it goes. It doesn't seem to be too perturbed by anything at this stage. and it doesn't look like it's mobile too quickly, so as I say that, it starts running. Maybe the dogs have crossed out already. Off it goes, running off into the distance. I don't know. These animals sometimes, they know how to test one's patience, that's for sure. They really are another story altogether. I feel like my hand is going to fall off too. It's really not doing very well at all. I feel like I might have mild frostbite at this stage, given that it's gone all stiff. Let's not go ploughing into a big aardvark. There we go. So we're going to just try and get towards the ellies. The ellies are just up ahead here. So just try and kind of figure a way through this. They look extremely relaxed, so I doubt the dogs have come past them here. So Brazilo, yes, hyenas will look for other predators knowing they have food. They are very, very clever animals and very, very sensitive to what's going on around them, and so often can find food by smelling and listening and tracking other predators. You'll often find them following leopards around as they hope that leopards will hunt and find food for them. You'll find them often going towards lions if they hear lions, and wild dogs is their favorite kind of animal to target a little bit. Oh, look at that, that's super cute. It's a little baby duiker. Just hidden in the grass here, right next to us, is a baby duiker. You can hardly see it, but there's its little ear. You're right there, Seb, straight in the middle. So look, there it is. Hello, little one. Tiny little baby that's doing what it does best. Its defensive strategy will be to just lie down just like that. Little duiker, you can be glad that we are not with the wild dogs, nor are we with the leopard, because otherwise you would be in a lot of trouble. That's very cute though. Shame. Its instinct is just to lie down and stay as still as possible, and you can see it's got like a little nest there, so that's how it will stay warm on a very cold day like this, is they kind of get into the grass, and that grass will insulate them a little bit and they'll keep it nice and warm. But look at the camouflage, you would never really know that it's there. Just saw its head poking up as we kind of came around, so I'm not going to spend too much time in this area. I don't want to stress it out, and it's a little baby, like I say, that's trying to hide away from the cold. Let's just try to see if I can get you a slightly better angle on this little one, and so we can just see its cute face. How's that, Seb? There, you should get a nice angle from there. So hidden, you wouldn't know that there's a little animal inside there, but hidden in there, there's the top of its head. Just to the right there, Seb. You got it right there. So there it is. Hello, little one. That is very, very cute. Shame. I think it's just doing what it comes naturally to it and trying to just stay hidden as much as possible. And look at the size of the ears in relation to its body. They are monstrous. Hasn't quite grown into its ears. You are a bit like Tumba, aren't you? In that your ears are bigger than your head at this stage and the size of your body. And so it's all ears and very little else at this stage on this tiny little duiker. Very, very cute though. Isn't that cool? I'm glad we don't have a leopard with us, because that would have been a Hosanna's bite-sized snack had he been around. He definitely would have sniffed that out and gone after it. But we're going to leave it alone. We're going to let it just sit in the grass and stay nice and kind of relaxed. And while we do that, I'm going to head up towards this big grouping of ellies, and we're going to sit with these guys and hope that we hear the wild dogs somewhere around here. And while we do that, let's send you across to Taylor, who is now apparently wrapped up and warm, and no doubt got warm liquids and warm blankets to do so.
I totally took advantage of the system. I've run in to get my blankets, obviously, because that's what I said I was going to do. And then while I was getting my blanket, Darby ran in and made tea. I mean, it was just perfect. It was so great. So now Darby and I are not only warmer on the outside, but also on the inside. My toes are even warm now. It's so nice. So great. So, yes, it does. Yes. But it's so, I can't tell you how nice and warm it is. So amazing. We wouldn't find any wild dogs in camp. We just checked in that drainage line as well, because there's sometimes I like to go in there. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to head more east, and we'll go towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if we can maybe pick up on, I don't know, Osana. I don't know where Tingana's gone either. I haven't seen any of his tracks, but earlier it was also a bit difficult because it was so dark. At least it's lightened up slightly, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any more rain. The clouds have lifted a fair amount. So I don't even think you can call what we had this morning rain. It was just sort of spitting, really, just a few drops here and there. Okay, over the wall we go. I'll just check through here because they do actually like to run through the drainage lines, flushing out all the daycare in the Steenbok. That seems to be their preferred prey, or maybe a little bit easier than an impala dashing off. What's wrong with you, Spurfel? Why would you do that? Look, it's not terrified, but it decided to run out in front of the car at the last second. Was that just the scariest thing that's ever happened to you, bird? No, it's forgotten and is carrying on looking for food. Even the bird is cold. Look how fluffed up it is. Normally those birds are only about a third of that size. But everybody is chilly. I'm so sorry you don't drink tea, bird. Otherwise I totally would have brought you up a cup of tea. Just very busy. I'm sure it'll be a lot warmer under there. Underneath that tree, I'm sure that's retaining a bit more heat and also sheltered from the wind. But off it goes. Very cool. Wonderful. Right, let's carry on. We'll just keep bumbling that way. I don't know where Tristan is now. I think he's down on the west. Now he did say something about elephants and trying to spend a bit of time with them, and let's go see if he's got a better view.
We do indeed. We've got a nice view of the ellies that are just milling about, feeding. I would surmise that these ellies are fairly happy about this morning's proceeding so far. Overcast weather, wind has died down a lot since yesterday, and kind of perfect place just to sit and have a bit of a feed. I mean, there's still a breeze that's blowing that's cold, but once you're stationary, it's not so bad. It's the driving around, chasing after wild dogs that gets you quite cold. So these guys will be fairly happy, and you can see they're just having an absolute feast at the moment. I'm not sure about this rain that we had this morning. I mean, it was really minimal. We had less than 1 millimeter of rain. It was tiny, kind of just a dusting, really, but more mist than anything else. But I wonder if it's not going to spark a bit of a growth surge on a lot of these trees. As a bit of moisture has come down, warm weather that will follow, that might start to trigger some of the trees to start budding and actually getting some leaves again. It's going to be interesting because I don't think it's really that much to actually allow for growth of leaves, but we'll see how it goes. You never know. Sometimes it just takes that little bit of rain to get things going. Now this little baby is digging up something or other that it's found in the long grass. You can see, though, it's quite barren at this stage. I mean, the poor ellies and most of the animals that feed off vegetation, they're really having to resort to rather sort of dry, hard-to-eat things. That one's struggling and having a bit of an argument with a tree. There we go. No, did it break it off? Doesn't look like it. Looked like the tree won that one. It's not often a tree wins the fight but with an elephant, but it seems as though maybe there was a bit of a win for the tree. So, Captain Beltran, how do herbivores get enough protein for all that muscle? Well, they will eat various different things that would potentially contain protein. So, I mean, there's, as the same as a vegetarian, it's not that some plants do not contain protein. So legumes and roots and tubers probably have a few proteins in them that these guys will be able to get out of it and be able to utilize. So they'll just vary their diet a little bit in order to get those proteins out of the natural occurring proteins in some of the plant life that we get out here. So that's pretty much how they do it. It's obviously trickier for them than it is for something like a lion or a leopard, but they do still get proteins out of the vegetation that they feed on, much like a vegetarian. Same story. I'm just listening. The guys are still trying to find these dogs. No one can find where they've gone since they came into this little block. So I have a funny feeling that those dogs have ended up sitting here and having a bit of a breather inside of this block and are just sleeping. That's what I think's happened. Maybe they've killed something, they went to the pan for water, and now they've decided to have a bit of a rest inside here and sleep, and maybe that's why we haven't found them, is because they actually haven't come out of the block yet and they've decided it's nap time. You might find that they did a bit of hunting really early this morning, caught something, and then, like I say, went and had a bit of a drink, and so there's no need for them to actually have any sort of energy right now or chase anything. But this is a herd we actually see fairly regularly. That matriarchal female there that we see, she's an individual that is commonly seen in this area. They're a nice relaxed herd. She's got a very short right tusk that kind of grows in towards her trunk, and then a slightly longer left. But it's amazing how all of a sudden, look at how this herd is just moving. So there must have been some sort of communication amongst them, because they were all feeding spread out, no one was moving, and in a flash everybody is just slowly starting to coast their way away from us, which is quite interesting. As amazing as me with Ellies, I mean, we heard nothing from here. Obviously a lot of their sound is inaudible to us, but the communication that must take place for these guys to know where they're going, what they're doing, and when it's time to stop and feed and when it's time to move, it's pretty complex. And it goes to show that there's a lot of processing that happens and a lot of communication that takes place within an Ellie's environment. Very cool to see. Right, now our Ellies are all of a sudden quite mobile and are sort of heading back towards Impala Plain, so we might try and reposition and see if we can get a better view of them. While we do that though, let's send you back across to Steve, who's got another one of Africa's iconic animals, except this one has no problem with finding proteins in its diet.
Well, we have found a cat or two. They are lying down in the grass now. Look like two young lioness. I'm not 100% sure who they are. One has disappeared into this little bush, and the other one is, well, practically disappeared. But there are more vehicles that passed us and have stopped a little bit further up on the road. We think maybe there's more. This is kind of where these individuals came from. Maybe more of a pride. Who could they be? The Owinos, possibly? The Olololos? The two male Olololos were found not far from where we are right now on Sunday. But these are definitely looked to be two young females from what I could gather. But with that shot that we have now, impossible to identify. It is a lion in the grass. It is a lion. We found one. Or we found two. But I think there might be some more just up there. So we're going to go have a look, because I don't think these guys are going to move. Ravinda, it's interesting how many people these last few days have asked how many lions to kill an elephant, or do lions hunt elephant. Well, the videos that I've seen of Savu is about 40 lions to take down an elephant, but it's not something I ever want to really witness again. It's quite a frightening experience watching that. Not their natural prey source. In extreme conditions, lions will hunt elephant, but it's not really what they go for, especially, I mean, maybe a youngster they could go for, but trying to isolate that from mum is essentially what they'd want to do. But lions don't, for the most part, hunt elephant. Elephant are too big, too physically strong, and there's always more than one of them. But in extreme conditions, where environmental conditions or overgrazing has led to the demise of vegetation and caused other animals to move out of the area, well, then lion will definitely go for something that, because they're hungry, but then they have to band together into huge prides of 35, 40 lions. But I can't imagine witnessing that live. I mean, how would the lions suffocate the elephant? They wouldn't be able to. They would just pull it down and eat it alive. It's a horrible thing to witness, I think. I have such an affinity with elephants. Quite a sad thing, quite a sad day to see something like that. No, Emma doesn't want to see it either. But, you know, the wildebeest, the zebra and the buffalo and all the other antelope species that are around in these areas are prime lion food. And all of them also have the potential to give the lion a little bit of an injury from time to time, as we have seen in the past. And it is sort of the battle of predator versus prey. Elephant, they are just the heaviest weight class, really. Shouldn't really be falling victim to anybody. And out here, I don't think it ever happens. The lions are just well too fed on other prey, and there's way too many other animals available for lions to even consider looking at an elephant. But anyway, there are another vehicle, 2 vehicles, 100 meters up. We might go and check them out, because there might be a better view of whatever it is they're looking at, because this young lioness does not want to show us her face. Dee Dee, you want to know if lions sleep more than hyenas in? Well, I don't know. I think they do. I mean, invariably, hyena walk to go home, well, not always go home, but lions they lie down. So maybe that 15, 20-minute hour journey that the hyena does from the den back to where they go feeding is a time extra that lions spend sleeping. So I would probably surmise that lions sleep more than hyena, but it's probably a pretty even keel with regards to that. But hyena definitely seem more active for the most part than lions do. They like to nap and be very, very flat. It is the commute. That is the commute that gets them. Okay, well, this lion is not really showing us too much, so we're going to move up there, see if we can get another view of whatever it is that those guys are looking at. So jump on board, feel free to join us. Don't forget, this is interactive. We'd love to hear from you. And we haven't gotten very far this morning. It is pumping with game, which is fantastic. And I just spotted lions from the road walking, and then they decided, well, they'd had enough walking. The sun is coming out. It's not as cold as it was 20 minutes before. And so now they're hiding in what little shade there is left. Very nice little area, in fact. Would easily have driven past here if we hadn't seen them moving. But being 2 young lioness, I'm almost certain we're going to find some more. There's more trucks a little bit further up the road as well. There might be an entire bunch of activity happening right around the corner. So let's go check it out, James, shall we? Jump on board, folks. Interactive. This safari is not just for us, it is also for you, so let us know how you're doing. Okay, so there's the one in there. I think the second one joined it as well. They both moved into that sort of thicket. Okay, so talking about lions hunting elephant, let's go back down to Tristan Dix and maybe get his thoughts on the matter.
Well, lions do hunt ellies quite regularly. It's actually something that does happen, not so much here in the areas that we operate, so not so much in Masai Mara or here in the Sabi Sands, but in other parts of Africa it does happen. And actually I was speaking to Ali yesterday, and she was telling me she's just come back from Savuti, which is a part of Botswana, and she says it's very, very dry there, and the lions are hunting ellies almost daily in that area. And she said while she was there, 3 different elephants were killed by lions in the time that she was up in Botswana. So you know, they do get hunted, and it does happen. Generally not big adults like you're looking at there. It's normally these small individuals and teenagers, so ones like that size that we see closest to us. That would be something that the lions would go after, and it's quite something. I mean, it would be a very traumatic thing, I think, to watch a lion try and bring down an elephant like that. There would be a lot of noise, and it would be probably quite heart-wrenching to watch. It's not a quick, easy kill, I don't imagine. But it must be quite something to kind of watch how it plays out, and it must be absolute chaos, because the adult ellies are not going to stand back and take it, and the lions are obviously going to use all their sort of cunning to try and get in there. So it must be an incredible kind of battle of intelligence and will to try and see how that plays out. So I'm not sure I want to see it, to be honest with you. I think it would be a bit I like ellies too much to watch one being torn apart by lions, but you know, it must be an incredible display of power from the lions. Shadowy Pancakes, how fast do elephants run? Well, faster than you and I can promise you that right now. Is that these guys move quite quickly. They do about, top end will be 35 kilometers an hour at max. 35, there's some reports that say 40, but I don't know. I mean, that's pushing it. In terrain like this, I doubt that they'll get that fast. But 35 kilometers an hour, which is fairly quick. And if they do get up to about 40, I mean, that's even more so. That's a crazy speed that they're running. It's pretty much as fast as Usain Bolt ran the world record 100 meters. So, you know, you're not going to outrun these guys in a hurry, and they can move when they want to and shift a gear. The thing about them, though, is that when it comes to being hunted by things like lions, it's not so much their speed that gets them out of there. I mean, a lion's easily going to run much faster. It's in fact double the speed of really what these guys run. The difference is that these guys have power and strength that very few animals out here can match. In fact, no animals out here can match the strength of an adult elephant. And so that's what they use to defend themselves. They're not interested in trying to run and trying to kind of get away and flee. They'll turn and fight with the lions. The problem is that when it gets incredibly dry and there's no food around, their condition weakens, and it becomes a lot harder for them to kind of look after their calves and their teenagers, and that's when ones get separated, and in the chaos of so many elephants coming down to these one little water point where it's so dry, you know, lions kind of can get in amongst them and be able to do the damage that they need to do, particularly to those younger ones. And so they would go after, you know, anything, and elephants that are newborn all the way up to sort of 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age. That's what they would mainly try and target as they go along. And like I say, it must be amazing just to kind of see these lions do it. They weigh them down with sheer numbers, from what I understand, and then try and chew through the spinal area to try and immobilize the elephant, and then from there feed on it until it actually dies, which is quite horrific if you think about it. There's no way for them to choke an elephant and get that death grip that they get on antelope species. They can't get their canines deep enough in, and also getting underneath an elephant's head is asking for a lot of trouble. There's a trunk there, there's tusks, and so the only way to do it is to try and disable those back legs and get the animal to sit, and then just to start feeding on it and cause massive amounts of trauma and blood loss, that the animal then, you know, dies from that. So it's quite an insane thing to think that these guys actually pull down animals of this size. I mean, if I was a lion, I would steer very clear of elephants. But the problem with those lions in Savuti is that there's sometimes not much else to go after. And so, you know, ellies form part of the diet because they're also desperate in their own way. As much as the ellies are desperate for food and water, they're desperate also and don't have many other options. And so they have to try. I'm pretty sure those lions would prefer to hunt soft, squishy impalas or buffalo as opposed to these kind of big giants that can potentially cause mass amounts of harm to them. So, you know, it's dangerous for both parties, I suppose, and not an ideal world for either one. Right, now on that depressing subject, let's rather go across to Taylor McCurdy, who's toasty and warm and hopefully has a brighter spirit and has more energy than what we've been talking about now.
We do, because we've had an extra cup of tea. I think I actually said that to Tristan this morning, didn't I? I joked and I was like, watch, I'll just come back halfway and make a cup of tea, and I think he thought I was joking. We won't. Anyways, we've picked up on some male leopard tracks. It's really hard to say when this cat walked here because yesterday was just a hurricane. It was so windy. So I can still see the tracks on the ground. And they're coming from Buffelshoek Dam, going along Hippo Pools Road towards Quarry Pan. So maybe it is Hosanna. Well, I don't know if Tingana managed to come all the way up here. It's not impossible, but it's just very difficult to try and age those tracks. We aren't. We're not. We're just going to see if they lead us to a leopard. I don't have them on the road anymore though. They went off somewhere. So we're scanning now. Pan scan technique, as Manu would call it. So yeah. But it's pretty chilly. I thought the clouds were going to break, but it seems to be a layer that's kind of set in and stuck in its ways. There ain't no blue sky, that's for sure. Even though it looks blue down there, it isn't. Ramaj, you've said it looks like a tree graveyard. Yeah, I suppose. I suppose it definitely could be a tree graveyard. So I want to quickly check here. I don't know if we go down Niconico line or if we do Drakensberg. What do you think? Darby, what do you want to do? I'm going to go Niconico line. Alright, we shall check here. And we'll go all the way to the boundary. Like I said, no more leopard tracks, so I don't know where he is gone, and I don't know who he is just yet. It could be actually a number of different leopards. Could be Osana, could have been Tingana, could be Gajima, could be Mfokazi, it could be, well, that's probably about it. Probably one of those leopards. So they all wander around up here. That's really nice. Got a piece of fluff in my mouth. Lovely. Very nice. Okay. Once you get onto Niconico line, you'll be able to see fairly nicely. It doesn't look like it got much rain up here at all, so perhaps the road won't too much. No, it doesn't look like it rained at all up here. Hopefully we'll be able to see some tracks. Check behind us, because you never know if a leopard might cross the road behind you. Ooh, now it's windy this side. It's actually, goodness, it's like we've entered a different area, hey? We just went beautiful and peaceful and calm, and now we're in like a vortex of wind. We have to hold on to our hats. Alright, we're gonna keep searching around here for anything with a heartbeat, although it seems to be fairly quiet, but we'll keep looking for that leopard. However, Steve doesn't seem to have moved. He's still with the lions.
Thank you very much. We found two lioness. This one is having a little bit of a sleep in the road. Well, they're in the road. The vehicles are, there's lots of vehicles around, and there's a second lioness a little bit further up. We can't see her, but she's kind of hiding in the culvert of the side of the road, looking at a herd of zebra and wildebeest combined. We're not sure if anything's going to happen, but she's up here somewhere behind sort of that green patch of leaves. Somewhere behind there. We can't really get any closer. We're not going to try and influence it. With the herd of zebra and wildebeest all over the place. She's just behind that green bush in the front of the screen. She's flat on in the sort of drainage itself. And we're assuming that these two lioness that we can see are part of the same pride that those two youngsters are from. You'd assume anyway, considering they're in the same very close area. There is still our one lioness. She seems to have lost a fair amount of interest. Probably with the abundance of food. There is, Dora, there is a traffic jam out here. We're trying to navigate it. Everybody wants to see lions, of course. That's why it sometimes pays to go further afield, as we've done the last few days. Once we're off this beaten track, well, generally there's hardly anyone to be seen. She's having a look at her sister. They are going to be photobombed in a second, folks. I do apologize. Omar, who doesn't like lions? They are very, very special animals. It's good to spend time with them, especially when they're on the move. And I've been really looking forward to spending time with large prides out here. We haven't found a large pride yet, only 5 at the most so far. In the Salt Licks the other day with Kupuli, so 4 females and Kupuli. And here we've got 2 adults and 2 youngsters who apparently, from the guide we spoke to just before, he said they are the Olololo pride, named after the mountain range to our right hand side. Well, she doesn't seem too concerned. I'm going to flop down, and that is that from a lion perspective. A very hard life. Okay, well, we are going to move around and see if we can get a better view of the front lioness and see what she gets up to. But in the meantime, let's go back down to South Africa with Tristan and his elephants.
I am still with my Ellies. I'm still hoping that I'm going to hear these dogs from somewhere here. They must be sleeping here because we cannot find any tracks. Well, the other guys who have been driving around can't find any more tracks going anywhere other than into this block. So I think they're sleeping somewhere here. It's just a matter of finding where exactly they've decided to rest. Maybe they killed something big and decided just to flop down somewhere close by and have a bit of a sleep. But our Ellies are gently feeding their way through a very, very gloomy day. Seb and I have been sitting here and thoroughly happy that we found an elephant herd, because driving around was not pleasant at all, and so I'm quite enjoying sitting with them. Diane, why don't we see Ellie's trumpet? We do see Ellie's trumpet from time to time. It's not that regular, but generally a trumpet is a distress for an elephant. So they only trumpet when they're really not very happy at all, and that would be normally if there's a predator around. You hear them trumpeting. So if those wild dogs show up here, I'm pretty sure we'll hear a trumpet from an elephant, and it will be exceedingly loud and rather angry if the wild dogs arrive. But it's generally reserved for that. You'll also hear it if there's a lot of males in one area with females. They'll be trumpeting. There's also, if young ones can't get any milk, they sometimes will trumpet and scream. So you get a lot of that kind of thing. Now, I'm just listening to the update of the tracks for these dogs. Anyway, we'll try and figure out what's going on now. But while I do, let's send you back across to Steve, who's apparently got a much better view of his lioness and is not having to compete too much with all the other cars.
Thank you very much. Well, we managed to keep up with this female. The front-running female has moved back all the way back from where she was originally. She's walked right past our car. She's given all the vehicles a skip, and now we're able to keep up with her, and we have the ability to drive off-road. I don't think everybody has that right, so we're able to follow her. She's done a big loop around the vehicle, plural. The other lioness was still sleeping in the little drainage culvert there. So she's probably going to go back to her cubs that she left back in that side. Or, I can't say they're hers. They might not be hers. Sorry, James. There we go. She's doing a little bit of scent marking. Lionesses are, in fact, territorial. They defend territories. Males defend females. Beautiful lioness, walking through the golden grass. She also had a little look-see in the distance, because this herd of wildebeest and zebra is enormous, expansive. It just keeps going and going and going. No doubt she's going to probably regroup. There was another lioness, we believe, in the long grass where she's headed towards, that she might try and sort of link up with. No doubt the other lioness she left lying down in the road will come and join her as well, and they'll rethink their efforts and maybe try and go for a herd now that is at least a little bit less suspecting. You never know how long these animals have been on the move for with regards to hunting, but once prey animals are alerted to them, they generally decide to move off a fair distance to a group of animals that has no idea that they are there, and there are plenty of them around. Always, yes, it's magnificent to see healthy lions, and up here they are in very, very good condition. Kapuli had a big wound on his face, but that's part and parcel of being a male lion. It's still very healthy, and definitely these individuals look really good. Nick, those two youngsters looked in really good shape. Good fur, good skin, no mange of any sorts. Body nice and firm, nice and strong, lots of muscle. And look how she just melts away. Incredible, I think. The kings of the savannah prides of lion. So as I've said to you all, my bucket list is to find a pride of lion, make a kill, and a group of hyena come in, a large clan, hopefully the North clan, come in and show the lions who's boss. Something I've only ever seen on TV. I know Scott and Jamie and Brent saw some of that this year. On the bucket list to be seen. Okay, well, we're going to cross the road there. Cubs were not far away, a little bit further down the track. Probably heading straight towards where they were. Gersh is also eyeing out any potential prey items in that direction. Doesn't seem to be too many that I can spot. Oh yeah, there's an ostrich in the distance. I wonder if she'd have a go at a big male ostrich. That would be quite something. Vehicle, you can see just photobombed the shot there. Hello Fern. Well, we have an Askari with us most evenings, and they give us an idea of where the roads, where we can and can't go. We found 2 young males here pretty close to where we are 2 days ago on Sunday, and so we're familiar with that area. Close to the Mara River, there's absolutely no access there. No one's allowed off-road there, and if you've got the correct permit, then you are allowed to drive off-road, but you have to only allowed to follow cats. If you don't have a confirmed cat sighting, then you're not allowed to go off-road. So it is all quite strict and quite regulated, which is good. I like that. But not everybody has those permits. That's why when the lions are close to the roads like this, you might find numerous vehicles sort of all around. But as soon as they get a little bit further off the track, well, then it's vehicles like ourselves and some of the lodges that are able to actually access and follow those animals into the distance. As the roads only make up a very small portion of these properties. I mean, talking about what I know of about the Kruger National Park, the roads in the Kruger Park only cover or view 1% of the property. Carter, you want to know why it's completely unfazed? Lions in general up here, and also in places like South Africa where we spend a lot of time with them, they get used to the vehicle. We don't chase them, we don't shoot them, we don't feed them, we don't scare them anyway. They just see this vehicle as a very smelly, diesel, fumey, weird yellow or green or whatever color it is box. And so they don't have any fear of that. But if we're to chase them or do things with this vehicle, they'd learn to fear that vehicle. But over time, they realized, okay, well, what is this thing? It just follows me. It doesn't do anything. And they get habituated. And then they have cubs, and the same thing goes on. So that's why we get to spend such magnificent time with these individuals. But we're going to carry on and get back on the road to make this a little bit easier. Bear with us, it's a little bit bumpy. Okay, well, we're going to be going back down to South Africa. Taylor McCurdy, I'm not sure what her plans are, but she's driving in the mist.
I'm driving through the mist. Am I? I must have missed it. I didn't see it. Anyways, we have picked up on some female leopard tracks. I know. So funny. At least Emma likes my jokes. Darby, he chuckles every now and then. And I don't know where the leopard tracks go though. I think they're Tandy's footprints because they're very small little lady feet. And they're marching down the road. They come out of Torchwood, and we know she was in Torchwood. There's only one set though. But now I need to figure out where on earth she went. So I don't normally spend much time trying to find Tandy. Well, not anymore. It was like my mid-year resolution because of the amount of hours I've spent trying to track that leopard and never actually being able to find her. Outweighs the times I've actually found her, which is humiliating. But she does send you on a wild goose chase. So we're just quickly checking Mamba. I'm going to go up, come back up Leadwood Road, and then we'll probably drive Drakensberg Road. Maybe that was a track, I don't know. Hang on. I have to go this side. It's too cold to get out. It's freezing. I don't know, you see here it rained, so it's hard to say. Oh, anyways, hopefully she's around still. So we'll try our best. We're just going to drive roads and hopefully we bump into her. Anna Marie, like we've all been saying today, it's very difficult to try and age tracks as the wind has played a huge part in that. They look fairly fresh. They look like they were maybe on top of the rain, but I think it's drizzled a few times here because there's some tracks that have broken, from like antelope tracks that have broken the crust where the water has dried on the sand, but then there are also little droplets inside those tracks. So I think it drizzled, things have moved around, and then it had a little downpour here again, or a little drizzle, not a downpour. But so we're just keeping an eye out and just scanning around. I don't see her tracks anymore, so I think they might have actually just turned off and gone a little bit further west. So that's why we're going to go around and come back up Leadwood and then go all the way up Drakensberg. We'll check Central. We'll start checking her favorite hangouts, and she does spend a lot of time around here, often. We'll go down into the Mulwati too. Have a little scratch there. We'll probably use the Mulwati and go out that way, jump at Gowrie Main and come back up. Let's go. And what? Who's lots of things walking. Okay, we're also going to hopefully listen at some point, see if we can pick up on any sounds of the bush. Right, Tristan's hung around with those elephants for quite a time, so before he goes, let's go take one last look.
Well, we have been enjoying our Ellies, and they've been very, very, very chilled this morning. They're just going along feeding as they do it. There's not really too much rush, I suppose. There's not sun that's come up to make them too hot. There's no need to really push for water at this stage because the lack of heat isn't heating their bodies too much, and so they don't have to worry about going and cooling down or anything like that. It's just pretty relaxed sort of morning for our Ellies. Now, I do have a bit of interesting news, which is quite cool. Is not cool that Hosana has left Djuma for the time being. He's on Little Gowrie this morning, but it seems as though the little chief is having his first ever meet of a leopardess by the name of Shadulu. So the two of them are apparently together on a kill on Little Gowrie, not too far from Gowrie Main, so hopefully the two of them will actually decide to kind of come into this area, and maybe the two of them will be seen together again. But quite interesting. It's not part of his family and not part of the leopards that he spent very much time with. In fact, it would be, I think, a new leopard for him. I don't know, he might have met her before, but interesting that the two of them are together. So I know lots of you like to follow news on both Shadulu and Hosana, and that's basically the kind of case that's happened between them. Now, whether or not, like I say, they'll come on to Djuma at some point is anyone's guess. I'm not sure that they will, but you know, it'll be intriguing if they do. I would like to see the two of them together. I'd like to see how he reacts to her and how she reacts to him, given that she won't know him from a bar of soap, wouldn't know who he is, whether she's quite tolerant of a young male like that, or if she's very aggressive and nervous of him. I would be quite keen to understand. So I'm going to try and get hold of the guys later and see what actually happened in the sighting. I just got a message from them to tell me that they'd found the two of them together on Little Gowrie, which is pretty cool. Anyway, back to our Ellies. Carol, yes, a budding romance. I think they would actually make quite nice cubs, wouldn't they, the two of them? And Shadulu is a beautiful female, and so is Hosana, and the two of them have very similar traits in that they're both clowns, and they'd love to run around all over the place and be very active. And so they would make, imagine those babies, they would be like hyperactive leopards from who knows where. They would just run around and pose all the time and just be the most epic cats ever. So yeah, it would be a nice romance if that were to get going. Hosana would be dating a little bit older, so he would have to, you know, woo a slightly older lady, but I suppose it's possible. Many other male leopards have done it before, and so I'm pretty sure he would be able to do it as well. So Lulu Shadulu now is, sure, she must be approaching almost 5 now. She's just trying to think exactly, but 4.5, I'd imagine, is maybe even closer to 5 already. Time is running away. I mean, it shocks me every time I think that we're in October already this year. So she must be getting towards that age now. 4.5, I would imagine. Probably 4.5, somewhere there. I don't think she's quite 5 yet, but she's not old at all. She has yet to have her first litter of cubs. She's been very kind of elusive of late. I don't know what her story has been or why she's been kind of difficult to find. The guys haven't really been seeing her nearly as much as normal, and so whether she's scouting out for potential den sites that she can potentially kind of use, or she's just been keeping a low profile due to a sort of transient males. I don't know what her kind of story is, but she's in the last sort of week she seems to have popped up a lot more again. She had a kill on Simambili until yesterday, and now she's got another kill on Little Gari, so she's moving quite a bit. What also intrigues me is that if she's on Little Gari, then she's, you know, kind of taken up very much where Shadow would have come out of from. Where she is on Little Gari is exactly Shadow's route that she used to walk into Djuma, and so I'm hoping that we can catch Shadulu coming out of Little Gari at some point and heading towards our side and coming in from that kind of Shabamu area where we saw Tingana yesterday. So, but interesting kind of development, and like I say, interesting that Hossan is there. Remember, we left him at Buffelshoek Dam last night, so it's the complete opposite end of Djuma. He's gone from the northeastern corner all the way down south to the southwestern corner of Djuma, so he really has obviously moved a lot during the course of the night. That tummy of his and that nose is definitely still working, and just like his dad, he's learned how to find food rather easily and rather quickly. Okay, well, I think with our Ellies, they're drifting off now into an area that's going to be very tricky to follow them in. There's lots and lots of black monkey orange there, so probably going to let them go once they disappear behind that thicket and kind of move through there. It's unfortunately going to be almost impossible to get in amongst that stuff. A lot of that is black monkey orange, and so black monkey orange is an absolute delightful tree. It is one of my least favorite trees that we get out here. It's this kind of stumpy, spiny, horrible thing that just grows all along the bottom here. It doesn't look like it's that bad, but it is not pleasant stuff at all, and it completely destroys the underside of a car. It's got this hardened kind of spine on it, and it will always mess up the brake lines. It pulls out cables all over the place, and it just generally causes a lot of damage. And one slapped me in the face just now, so I don't really like one of these right here. That's exactly it. So this is what it looks like. It's not a very pleasant tree. It's got these kind of hard spines on it, and I don't like them at all. They generally make a lot of noise when you try and drive over them to try and get somewhere, and so they're not ideal for viewing of wildlife. They're just painful in many respects, and like I say, not a fan. And because it hurt, I got hit like on the top of my head. I don't actually know how it happened, but it did. Anyway, let's leave our Ellies alone and let's carry on and see how we're actually going to get out of here. It was easy getting in because we were looking at Ellies, but now that I think about it, it might be quite tricky getting out. Anyway, while we negotiate this kind of area and this thicket and decide what we're going to do next, let's send you back across to Steve, who probably is not having any worries about black monkey oranges because there's very few of them out in the Mara.
Tristan, don't get smacked in the face by monkey oranges. They're not very comfortable. They are a very stout and strong plant. Well, this lioness has been trying to bamboozle everyone, has walked in a big circle. Ooh, bless you, madam, bless you. And she's now moving directly back towards where she left the one lying in the road. She's just having a little look-see around. She first had a little look at an ostrich, but the ostrich looked at her very, very sternly, and she thought, well, I'll maybe try something else. And now it seems as if she's trying to move all the way around again and come back to the herd she was originally stalking. And her sister, who is still lying up in the road further up, you can see there's a vehicle just passing in the screen. The sister is somewhere there on the road, and now she's summed up her options. She's looking at the angles, figuring out the wind direction perhaps, and now she might try and make another form of approach. Try and get her sister involved. Not sure how many other lions are lying in wait and hiding around here in the landscape. We do know that there was another lioness back that way, and then two of the youngsters further back. But she seems to be doing all the work at the moment on her own. She is playing hide and seek. She's gone and hidden behind this bush. So let's go up a bit closer and see if we can actually get a nice little facial recognition of her. for later, because we do believe from the guide here that she is from the Olololo Pride. I wouldn't be able to tell you that myself, but considering where we are, this is where the 2 young males were found just on Sunday, so a few days back. The lioness is actually crouching now, James. She's coming into the grass over there. Let's just get this one first. There she sits. Let's try and... There we go. Okay, so she's come all the way to the back. Got the other lionesses now up and moving. She probably knows that her sister's now lying up in ambush over on this side. So she's going to try and maybe go and sneak up. That's the one that was lying in the grass or lying on the road. You can see how all the zebra in the background have clearly spotted her. But they're not concerned. They've got quite a large distance between them and her, so the predator you can see is not that dangerous. They don't know where this one is. There's one off, as I said, to our right-hand side, who's now got the backdrop of a bush behind her, and she's obviously going to do some form of lie up and wait ambush strategy. It's always very interesting to watch lions practicing these techniques. Complete visual communication. They look at each other, they know exactly what the other one wants to do. It's almost like a game plan. They've got these hand signals that they do without having hands, just with a look. They know, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And you can see the masses of animals in the background, with the zebra being the more attentive of the lot. They've all spotted that lion, and look how she's moving through the grass. Beautiful. Robert, that is something that we still don't know. I mean, there's a look, there's a gesture, there's a body posturing. This one's about to come in front of us now. She's decided, she's picked up on her sister's cue, and now she's going to join in the movement. So exactly how and what they do, it's very hard to say. They pick up on each other's movements, they see an angle. That's why when lions look at something, they try and figure an individual out of the herd, and that's the one they're going to focus on. And when they're looking, you can see from the back and the ears, when they're looking in a specific direction, the body posturing gives a good indication of exactly where they're looking at. And so over a vast distance, they can kind of look at each other, and they just know, I suppose, through experience, through instinct. They know that if one moves in this direction, then the other one should move in that direction. Anna-Marie, they are spoilt for choice indeed with their smorgasbord of breakfast buffet items on the cards. And yeah, there is an enormous amount of animals on the plains, many of which have spotted these lions and have known they've been in the area for some time. But sometimes one individual will think he's a little bit too casual in the herd and think, okay, well, everyone else is busy watching, I can keep feeding. And saying that, the first lioness, which we could easily see before, is completely gone. Her sister's now coming from the back. Where exactly they're going and who they've selected is hard to say. But we are going to stay with them. We're going to keep the action coming. This would be marvelous to find or to see our first live action kill here in the Mara. Something I've been looking forward to seeing, because in Djuma, when you see lions hunting, often when they do the hunt, it's always, whatever happens, it always happens behind some bushes. No matter how well you prepare yourself, it always happens behind a tree. Out here you can see we're good 150 meters away already from that lioness, but we still got such a good field of view, which is why gentlemen like Scott have been able to have such amazing sightings with the cheetah, because to keep up with the cheetah, very, very hard, and to be able to film that while keeping up with them, even harder. But if you've got an open field and a wide field of view with a good camera and a good cameraman, of course, well, it's all too easy. So she seemingly knows where the other one has gone. Maybe the other one has moved off, and all of the animals are now looking at the first lioness, who's made her approach so blatant. This one now is snuck up and is hiding in that little bush. We're going to move up there so we don't miss the action, because she's gone behind the only bush in sight. We're going to lose visual. So let's keep going. Okay, well, we're going to carry on with the action, and in the meantime, let's go back down to Taylor in the Djuma.
Well, I was just about to say we haven't managed to find anything except we've seen the odd duiker as well as impala, but luckily for us, straight ahead we have a waterbuck and also a crested francolin making an unnecessary amount of noise this morning. They're shouting they're having a warfare at the moment. You can hear one calling in the distance. The waterbuck don't seem to be too bothered by the loud sounds coming from the bush this morning. They don't seem to be particularly bothered by us. Just nibbling around the trees looking for the last of the green shoots, which I doubt that there are very many. It also sounds like it's drizzling again. You can hear the soft pitter-patters which you won't be able to hear on the roof. I think it might just be a passing cloud. Not that the waterbuck will mind. If they do feel that the rain gets a bit too much for them, then they'll just dip down into a drainage line and hide away and look for a bit of shelter. She does look like quite an old girl though, just from looking at her tattered ears, super tattered ears. Wisteria, yes, these are beautiful antelope. They are lovely, especially with their really big noses. I think that's one of my favourite parts of them. And then with a kudu, obviously everybody loves their big ears. And they've also got beautiful big eyes. I suppose they all are unique and have, you know, some incredible features. I also like the really long hair of a waterbuck. They must be very warm on a day like today. And here comes the wind again. Okay, well, David and I have been trying to do a good job of keeping away from the horrible windy weather, so we're going to move from here. We're still looking for the leopard. We just, like I said, we lost the tracks. We're just kind of driving, and I'm checking every now and then. Sorry, waterbuck. So we'll head up a little bit further. Oh my goodness, David, please have a look at how fluffy that one is. That little baby. Oh no, come back. Hang on, I'm just going to keep going there. Okay, wait, stay like that. I'm going to go forward, and I think that might be better. Sorry, everyone, the waterbuck is running away from us. It is so cute. Okay. Let's see if it turns and looks towards us. It is about 10 times fluffier than that old cow that we just had a look at. You basically can't tell the difference between its neck and the width of its belly. It is the same at the moment. It is so fluffed up. Look how freezing it is. So again, a lot of these antelope species have the ability to erect all the hair around their bodies to help basically form a sort of air pocket that warms up. So it's almost like they've got an electric blanket around them, which is pretty epic. And that'll keep them nice and warm. Isn't that cool? That's so amazing. Shame its little ring hasn't even, or maybe because it's so fluffed up, you can't actually see the white ring around its bottom. Oh well. Okay. Bye, waterbuck. Have fun today. I wish I could do that. Fluff myself up. That would be so nice. I'm yawning. I should have taken a hot water bottle out on safari this morning. That would have been a sterling idea. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow if it's cold. You'll see. I'll have like 500 water bottles just all around me. Okay, where are we going to go after this? I think we might have to go a little bit further east. We'll go all the way along Drakensberg Road. I wonder if Thandi just isn't on Gwari Pan Road. That's another place she loves to live. She's forever there. Oh, here comes the rain. Again, it's just going to be a bit of a sprinkle. Okay, well, wishful thinking that we're going to find a leopard. We're going to keep trying. Let's jump back on board with a man who's clean shaven, has got short hair, and probably needs to be wearing a beanie.
You're right, Taylor. I do need a beanie. I'm very jealous of the fact that you have your golden locks on your head, because that must be keeping your head a lot warmer than what my shaved
kind of sides are, my ears are absolutely freezing. I needed my fluff and my kind of long hair to keep my ears warmer this morning. It really is seriously foul weather. It's now starting to rain as well, which makes it even worse. No, those are just tracks for impalas. I thought maybe the dogs had finally come out, but they haven't. It's just impalas. So it would be nice to have a beanie. It would be nice to have gloves on as well, because my hands are absolutely frozen as well. And it would be nice to have many things, but it's okay. We'll survive. It's not the first time we've been cold out here, and so we'll be okay. We'll get it right. I think what we need to do is eventually install some sort of bubble that you can just put like a little heater on, because these cars don't even have heaters on them, so you can't even warm the feet. I used to thoroughly enjoy that when I was guiding at some of the camps, is that we were fortunate enough that we often got new vehicles, and the new vehicles, the heaters work. And so what you used to do is when it was seriously cold, you'd close the door. Well, you'd have a door obviously, and it would be closed, and then you'd blast the heater on your feet, and then your feet would all be toasty and warm. It was delightful. I used to absolutely love it. And then, you know, we then came here. Yes, exactly. While all the guests are cold at the back. No, actually, I don't feel any pity for the guests at the back, because the guests at the back had blankets, hot water bottles, didn't have to put their hands on a steering wheel, so you know, they were all tucked away nicely. Exactly. Whereas I was, you know, the worst part about being a guide in cold weather like this is the motion of having to drive with your hand on a steering wheel, because this hand just gets abused by this cold wind and wetness that comes down, and you end up getting these kind of clammy cold hands, almost as though you're no longer living. It's horrible, but anyway, it's okay, we'll survive, like I said. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go and quickly check the I'm going to head off towards the Aubrey's den and see if maybe Corky is back here again, and see if she has indeed moved it, or if she's just decided, you know, she just wanted a pit stop here yesterday. I just want to double check it. Also then, if nothing here, I'm going to head down towards the Philemon's dip den and just double check if there's anything there. So we're going to do a little hyena den patrol. If anyone else is keen, that's hopefully you will be, because it's going to be good. We're going to hopefully get there, and Corky and the little one will be very, 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 very happy if I find the two of them there together, and that they just taking it easy. Imagine how nice it would be if we find Pretty and Corky and maybe June all together with little ones. That would be nice. Anyway, while we head off there, we're not far, we're going to get there shortly, and so while we head off in that direction, let's send you across to Stephen Falconbridge, who I'm very jealous of, because he's got sunshine and is probably infinitely warmer than what Taylor and I are down here.
Luck with that. These two lionesses have kind of joined together, one on the left and one just there in the grass. I'm very interested in this herd that is really, really spread out on the landscape. There's hardly any of them nearby that actually know that the lions are here. So I think the lions realize that they do have an opportunity now. The one did stalk forward, that one stalked forward slightly. I thought it was going to continue, and then it just decided to buckle down a little bit. Back down on the grass, there are just a couple of zebra that have kind of got a little look going, but they're not really too concerned. But other than that, a huge herd of wildebeest and zebra spread out in front of them, all have their heads down, not too concerned that there potentially are lions lurking in the long grass. Really is a magical scene for all of these animals, and if you didn't know the lions were there, well, you would pass them right by. There you can see the herds in front, the prospective animals. They're still quite far off. The lions have still got a good 150 yards or so to be able to be in striking distance. But they have picked a bit of a depression in the vegetation here, with a few scattered bushes, which could offer potential cover for them. The grass is still quite long in this area, but they would use the cover to their advantage. This is where the patience game comes in. This is where experienced lions do better than inexperienced lions, because youngsters would would just foil all of this. Maybe that's what happened earlier. Maybe they sent those two youngsters away, said go and lie down over there and wait for us to call for you, because you're just going to make the animals run away. To a prey animal, a sub-adult lion looks very much the same as an adult lion, so regardless of how they're behaving, they see a cat and they just freak out and behave as if there's cats trying to catch them. So hopefully, the grass is very long. I mean, it's up to, well, where we are, it's up to the wheel. So, and we're not in the depression. They're in the depression there. I mean, by just looking at the wildebeest and the zebra around, it's up to their bellies. So that's perfect height for lion. We've seen lions stalking grass much shorter than this, but also these, you see these scattered bushes all around here. That's going to provide very, very good cover for these animals as they go. So we will stay here and see what unfolds. Absolutely anything could happen, bearing in mind, folks, when the herds are in such large numbers. Well, they do have plenty of ears and eyes to be able to locate and find out, or should I say detect, the lurking presence. There's always this sort of sixth sense as well. I mean, if you go over to these zebra here, James, if you don't mind, these ones just over my shoulder here, they've lost sight. James, sorry, these zebra just here, they've lost sight of the lions and they're looking in the completely wrong direction. They're thinking the lion are probably going to come try sneak up from them over there. You see how they're alert. They're looking in the completely wrong place. That's because the lions walked a specific line and then shifted. Walk up. They do it quite blatantly sometimes. Lions will walk through the open, and then the animals will see them and then expect them to walk sort of past that bush, but instead the lions will drop down and sneak around into a different angle altogether. And the first lioness there, she's about to start moving, James. Yeah, she's crouched very, very low. She's going to see how much distance she can cover. See, James is going to struggle to even get her there. Look how low she is. But look at that long grass. So she's going to try and get as close as she possibly can. Shadowy Pancake, as far as I'm aware, no tornadoes or hurricanes really happen in sort of Africa. We do get tornadoes off of the coastline, or should I say not tornadoes, cyclones that happen off the coastlines of Africa, a lot of them coming in from sort of East Asia side, but on land, the most that we really get on Africa, being a very stable continent, is maybe a few dust devils, a little bit of sort of wind moving, but nothing to the extent of what you find in places, parts of America. We just don't have that kind of weather as far as I'm aware. I've never experienced a tornado. Okay, the second lioness is following suit. Look at those shoulder blades pumping through the long grass. That is she's not very low, but you see how long the grass is there. She's walking at pretty much a normal height, but just the gait has changed. So they're looking at each other, one moving at a time. They're going to pick out a potential target at some stage once they get a bit closer. Maybe they have already picked out one. Maybe they're just going to get closer and closer and closer until they eventually find maybe a young animal or someone that's really not paying attention. But the patience that's paying off, because the zebra have no idea, the wildebeest have no idea, so this is the perfect ambush opportunity. Okay, well, Tristan has made his way to the hyena den. I'm not sure if it's the one off Aubrey's or Philemon's Dip, but let's go see if there's any action.
Well, we're not at the one on Philemon's Dip. We're at the den off Aubrey's Road, which Taylor had Corky at yesterday, but no sign of her now. I mean, well, there is a sign. I mean, there's very fresh tracks of a hyena leaving this area. That's from this morning after the rain, so she must have been here earlier and then left. Probably with the wild dogs being around, she probably decided to go and investigate and see if maybe she can find a meal. So there definitely was a hyena here early this morning, and that left. And so I wonder who is using this and whether or not she has moved dens. There's evidence that there's hyenas spending a lot of time here. There's a lot of places where there's even been scratching and where there's, like I say, a lot of tracks of them. So I'd imagine that they are actually either investigating to use this den or they are already using it. But interesting either way. I'm surprised excuse me, that she is this side. Wonder if there was something that happened at the Philemon's dip den. Did I get this right? Do hyenas have blue noses? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and white eyes.
No, they're not Smurfs. So they don't have blue noses. They are animals with black noses. I suppose they get a bit of a bluish sheen on it if they're a bit damp, but no, they, like I say, are just normal noses, much like most of the other animals. Oof, this weather is getting horrific now. It's horrible. Rain is starting to blow in directly at us. We're probably going to have to start thinking about actually putting some sort of rain covers down at some point, because otherwise we're going to get ourselves very, very, very wet very shortly. It looks like it's coming in from the south, so if you have a look from here, it kind of gives you a good indication of the weather pattern that we've got. Is that we've got this big cloud bank which was quite high and quite thin, but now all of a sudden that's what's starting to come, and that is all rain pretty much. That's misting effect that you're seeing in the horizon looking a bit blurred. That's rain that's starting to head straight in our direction, which I know we really need the rain, but it didn't really have to fall now. It could have waited until 8:30, and it also could have waited until there was going to be some warm weather and not this foul coldness that's happening around us. I was also mentioning earlier the fresh tracks that I was talking about, so if you look on the left side of this road you'll actually see what I was meaning. So there they are. So those are the tracks that are leaving the den at the moment, and that's from after that little shower we had just when we started game drive. So there was a hyena here, and like I said, pretty confident that it's because the dogs are around that this hyena left. I meant to go and try and see if we can find some food. So we'll just carry on. We'll go and, like I say, probably check around the Philemon's dip den, see if we can find these hyenas. There also seems to be a bit of activity. Taylor and I were discussing it yesterday around the den that's off Gallico shortcut. So I think maybe they're just scouting around looking for any sign of a place where they can have a new den and where they can kind of figure out if they can put their little ones in. I don't think they've quite moved just yet. I might be wrong completely, but it looks like they are scouting. Right, I'm going to move southwards into the rain, unfortunately, and while I do that, let's send you across to Taylor and see how her avoidance tactics are going while she tries to avoid wind and rain, which I fear might be doing the impossible.
We're failing miserably because we've got the rain now drizzling down on us, and there is a couple of animals, which is wonderful. There's a zebra, and there's actually a couple of zebras, about 3 or 4 zebra here, and then also some impala, but it's quite difficult to see what's actually going on. There's some more, because we've obviously got a limited view, and they're all walking one by one. I think they've got a nice spot though. With all the guarri trees surrounding them, that must be providing a little bit of shelter. I think everything will most likely move to the opposite side of the trees so that they don't get wet. Because I think getting wet now is going to make them even colder. Also a few inyala and things. There's quite a few different animal species just lingering here, you see. Looks like that zebra is trying to hide from the rain now. It's not particularly hard rain, it is just a little bit of a drizzle, but you can imagine if the wind is blowing and there's already a chill, just a little bit of dampness is going to make a huge difference. So they will try and hide away from that when they can. Well, that was nice. But we're still searching for our leopard. I thought we'd come and check around here, but it doesn't seem to be paying off. I don't know where those tracks of a female leopard went. I'm pretty sure it's Tandy. So she's probably just in a block in a drainage line somewhere. Wonderful. Right, well, we'll carry on down here. We're going to eventually end up at a Treehouse Dam. Well, that's the goal anyways. So off we go back to Steve, who's just having the best day with all the lions.
Yes, well, folks, the lions are creeping ever closer. We've only got visual of one at the moment. Have moved to about 80 yards or so. from these zebra. It looks like they do want a zebra today. I can see a second one. It's a little bit further back. We'll stay on the one we've got. Look how it just disappears there. The zebra have no idea. The closest group to the lions are a zebra. They are wildebeest, a little bit off, sort of to their left, but they seem fixed on the zebra. Maybe it's because that's what they can see. We've got a little bit more of a height advantage, and on the other side of this little depression there is actually a group of wildebeest that is far closer to the lions right now, but their mind, I think, is made up on the zebra today. But they will take whatever they can get. There now is looking to the left to see where her sister's going. They can hear each other. They look at each other all the time, knowing exactly what's going on. There's some game plan that really is so interesting to see. They know exactly what the other one's doing, and through trial and error and experience over years, it has worked for them. As I said, there's lots of animals around, so one zebra will sustain this small pride and really won't make too much of a dent on the population that we have around. But bearing in mind, lion only have about a 20% success rate. It is in the daytime, so their successes are even lessened due to the fact that the other animals can actually see them. And what is so interesting is that the wind is actually coming from behind the lions towards these animals. Well, it's cutting across towards us, really. There's a second one coming in just behind. Look at the slow, delicate movements. See the wildebeest in the background. They're a lot closer. Lauren, well, 20 yards is pretty much the striking distance. Anything further than 20 yards, there's absolutely no chance of the lion catching unless the animal blatantly runs towards them. But if they start running too early, the animals will move, and they're just too quick. Zebra and wildebeest are not as quick off the blocks as the lion are, but over a sustained, even a shorter distance, they are a little bit quicker and they're able to get away. So if the lions aren't able to get within the 20-yard striking range, they shouldn't launch an attack. So these two are being very delicate in their approach. They're moving one at a time. As I suggested, they're going to move through a little patch of sort of bushes there, which is going to enable them to get really, really close. And the longer the animals have no idea they're there, the better. And who knows, something that does often happen is when animals run away from predators, they run upwind because they feel that they can detect whatever's upwind from them. So by the lions cutting across the wind like this, it might encourage the zebra to sort of, if they get spooked, because when they get spooked as one, and they all run en masse in one direction, might not even know what spooked the other ones, so no one will really know where it is the threat is coming from. And that is where one of the advantages towards the lions come, is in the fact that the animals don't know where they are. Okay, well, there they are, getting even closer. They're probably up to about 60 yards now. Slowly but surely. Kendall, well, the best defense a zebra have is being in a herd. All these animals, herd animals, that's their best defense, is being able to see the prey animal long, or the predator long before it sees you, or to be able to just keep that distance away. They know they can outstrip a lion if they have the right amount of space between them. But then if the lion does get close and does manage to grab them, they've got a very powerful backward kick that is able to cripple a lion, either break a leg, break the chest or sternum, or even smash the skull if delivered in the correct manner. They don't only use that for lions, they use that for fighting as well, and defense against other zebra. So that is one of their strategies, but ideally they would like to prevent being even targeted. So that's one of the reasons why the stripes and the zebras sort of melt together as one. When they do move off, they run as a unit. Okay, well, there's some zebra up ahead here that look like they might have spotted these lion, but they are not the ones that are being targeted. So it's quite crazy, actually, how rude animals can be. Yes, I think we should invite some more viewers onto this platform, Emma. So the zebra will actually look at lions, and because the lions aren't looking at them, They won't give an alarm call. They'll just be like, okay, well, I see you there. Who are you going for? Well, it's not me. Good morning everybody. Welcome to this Masai Mara in Kenya. My name is Steve. We are with a pride of lions, 2 lionesses in fact, that are slowly sneaking up on a very large herd of zebra and wildebeest. We're going to see if we can get a little bit closer. There's 2 lionesses. They're sneaking through the long grass here. We've just lost sight of them. The zebra are starting to get a little bit fidgety. Please drop your comments below. I'm joined by James on camera. It is a beautiful day here in the Mara. There is one lioness. They're trying to get as close as they possibly can. And there is a second lioness. We don't know where she is right now. But quite often what happens is that one animal can cause a herd to move in a direction where the other one is lying up in ambush. They've been tracking these zebra for over about 500-600 meters. Slowly moving, and I think this lioness just gave herself away a moment ago by being a little bit too blatant, but sometimes they do that deliberately to attract the attention of the prey animals. There's another huge herd of animals just to the left of where that lion is that seemingly have no idea. Sometimes they will spook because one animal spooks, but no one really knows where the predator is coming from. Jennifer, lions are extremely powerful and they have the potential to flip a zebra on its back if they can get on top of it. Ideally, the second one would help. One lion can even take a zebra down. It is not easy. It is the reason why you have lions in prides. Obviously, the more strength there is, the better chance you have. But they are extremely powerful animals, and once they latch their claws into the flesh of the animal, it's very hard to let go. But every now and again, zebras do prevail, and they do manage to outmaneuver the lion even once they have been latched onto, and then the lion suffers a numerous amount of kicks and blows to the body, which can sometimes cripple them. There we go, look at the stalk happening. You see all those zebra and wildebeest in the background have no idea what caused the other individuals to run away. And when animals move like that, it's very good for the lions to just go flat again and let the animals slowly start to calm down. We originally found these lionesses closer to the road, stalking up on the herd, which spans many miles across the plain here, and started on one side of it, didn't work that side, and they came all the way around and have looped down through a little bit of a drainage area where the grass is very long with little stunted shrubs you can see, which they're using for cover. Now, if those animals in the background knew where the lion was, they would be looking at it, but they have no idea. Romit, I don't think that the ear flicks are actually a signal. The lion, when it is ready to charge, there's a tail flick that happens. An upward jerking tail means an imminent charge, and that's something we learn when we walk lions on foot. A tail flicking from side to side is potentially a lion getting very aggravated, and a tail flicking upwards is a lion that's about to launch itself. And those are cues for other lionesses that are maybe in the behind following up. But what the lions do is they look at each other's body language, and that coloration of the ears in contrast to the tawny body give them a good indication of what they had targeted and in what direction they are going to be moving. And often lions will try and pick out some individual that is either weaker or looking a little bit less sort of alert. And that is one of the reasons why prey animals like to hang out in such large groups. Okay, well, I'm just going to move up a few more meters, James. Chris, you want to know what she's waiting for? James, I'm just going to move up 10 meters or so, if that's okay. Chris, she's waiting for the animals to calm down a bit. There was a group of zebra a little bit closer to where we are now in front that saw her and ran off that way. So now she's playing the patience game, which an experienced lion does. Just sits down, waits for the animals to sort of calm down again, forget where the lion was there actually a lion, why did all those animals run away? And then as they start calming down again, lions will move back in. So it is the patience game, and lions who are patient are more successful than those who are not. So we're just moving very slowly in here. It's lovely to have you all on board. It's a nice, beautiful day here in the Mara Triangle, where we have got what we believe to be 2 lionesses of the Olololo pride, named after the mountain range that we have behind us. More, James. Omar, you want to know how long it takes for lions to pounce? Well, that's a very good question. It depends on the terrain, it depends on the lions, it depends on how hungry they are, and it depends on how suspecting the prey is. When you've got an enormous herd of animals like this, you know, invariably you need to be a little bit more patient because there's lots more eyes and ears to be spotting you with. She's now changing tact now. She's now going back around the bush she was just hiding behind. And now she has just disappeared. See, James is going to lose her. She's just gone to the left there. So she's moving away from the animals that spotted her. And this herd spans all the way to the left. There's a whole lot of animals on the other side there that have no idea that there are lions lurking in the wait here. So they need to get close enough to be able to get them. And we will see if we can stay with them. There are animals everywhere, and these 2 lionesses are disappearing into the deep thickets there. But we will try get around and see if we can get some more action. But for now, thank you for joining us on this very short action broadcast coming to you live from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. My name, as I said, was Steve with James on camera. Thanks for your comments, and please feel free to tune in. We are still live on YouTube, and we will still be live for some time. Have a good morning. Thank you. Everybody, well, I don't think it's over just yet. There's way too many animals in the offing here for the lions to give up that easily. They haven't even made an attempt yet. Zebra, in my opinion, have got very, very good senses and very good eyesight. And to carry on with the discussion earlier about what's zebra's defense, well, they've got good eyesight, and that's one of the primary things. They're able to discern a lion approaching through the long grass, and I think that's why wildebeest like hanging out with them as well, because none of the wildebeest seem to have had any idea that there were lions moving through there. But they're going to just move their tact slowly a little bit more left, because all of those animals over there have no idea. But they're going to play the patience game, no doubt. Most of the animals, just this small group here, spotted them. Okay, well, we're going to try and get back into position with these lions and come back to us as soon as there's some more action. But back once again down to rainy Juma.
Rain now, like actual rain, can you believe it? Now, if we turn, we're going to find ourselves in a spot of trouble. We put our rain covers down, which I'm trying to avoid at all costs. This is so difficult with the rain cover. So, we've got the rain from Sorry, I'm not sure. I think I might have a couple of gremlins getting me, so I'm going to send you all the way back to Kenya to see what Steve is doing now.
Strategies that lions employ so well. Don't want to go too far here so that I get in the way, but I think they're going to move back around through that sort of thicket there towards the wildebeest that I originally thought they should have gone for, because they're milling around over there, no idea. How marvelous is this? Very exciting to be out just here in the wilderness with lions hunting. Even if nothing happens, it's still one of those things that is awesome to be a spectacle of, or spectator of. James, can you see anything? I can't see anything. They're in here. Just vanished. That's what they do. Ah, there we go. Yeah, they're moving around as suspected. They're using this cover. The wildebeest that were the closest targets initially are back under their eyes. back under their radar, or in their radar, in their sights, should I say. We're giving them lots of space, folks. We obviously want the prey animals the benefit of the doubt, the lions benefit of the doubt. You don't want to get in any way and influence any of these sort of situations. It's prey versus predator at the absolute best. And we're just going to wait over here because she's just behind that little bush. There's two of them. You can just see them here, James. The first bush and the second bush. Their heads are just poking out there. You maybe hear the characteristic sound of some wildebeest not too far away. They're having a little argy-bargy for the one little bit of tree, or the one little bit of shade that that tree offers. Well, apparently Djuma is finally getting the rain that they deserve, so don't worry, you will stay with us as long as need be. The lion is slowly sneaking up. There goes the one. She's having a little look. Very unsuspecting wildebeest up ahead. Who are you going to choose, madam? See, she's looking at her sister. She's giving her the facial expression, the look. Whatever transpires through that look is really difficult for us to understand. Romit, I have no idea. I think looking at the size of a zebra's nostrils, you would assume they've got a better sense of smell than impala. But impala are basically the prey food of absolutely every single predator around. So I think their general overall senses are really, really good. Invariably, they both have quite a good eyesight, but from a sense of smell, I don't know. I mean, probably per body size, for the size of the body, the impala's got a great sense of smell, but the zebra's probably got a better sense of smell because it's bigger. But then I really don't know. But what an interesting question. Okay, look how she disappears. It's incredible. Okay, so maybe if you can just show us this herd of wildebeest in front of us here, James, just milling underneath this tree. They all try to fight for that bit of shade. That is the ideal section of targeting you want to get to, because there's some cover just before it. There's the tree, and if you come out just a little bit and go to the left, you'll see there's a tall bit of grass just on the left there that completely shielding whatever approach these lions might make towards that area. And they were milling around. I saw some false mounting happening a moment ago, and wildebeest are making all their casual sort of their noises. There's not a zebra too close to them, so there are a few zebras behind them, but a wildebeest in front. They don't have as good eyesight, I don't think. And there she's moved up. There we go, James, just under that tree now. Yeah, right there. There she is. She's flat. She's using the shade. She knows that the sunlight can pick up her colors a little bit more for the animals, make her stand out a bit more. A little bit to the left. Oh, have you got her? She's just left of that tree. There we go, to the left. There we go. See how she's using the shade? Now she's eyeing that exact group we've just pointed out. The lioness is trying to figure out which direction to go. Chio, well, that's a great question. Why do cats often walk around with their mouth open? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it might have something to do with their breathing. Might have something to do with the enormous mouth. Maybe the jaw is quite heavy and actually requires energy to keep the mouth closed. I don't know. It's a good question. You see male leopards and male lions walking around. It's almost as if they're just badass walking around with their really big jowls hanging out, and just, you see Tingana, and saw a picture of Mvula last night, and most certainly their mouth is open. It might also to do with a little bit of age, and it starts to just get a bit saggy around the mouth area. But lions, maybe they're picking up on senses as well within the environment. Maybe the wind direction on their mouth is actually where the moisture is, able to pick up the scent of the wind direction, which they often try and use to their advantage. But a good question. I'm just guessing at things there. I don't really know. Anybody else, please feel free to drop in your comments. YouTube stream on hashtag SafariLive. Let us know, why do big cats walk around with their mouths open? But you'll see them, they'll walk around with their mouths open when they're in the relaxed position, but as soon as they concentrate, the mouth closes. So, a very good question, very good idea and thought. So, that one is in a good position. The second lioness is slowly starting to advance. She's going to come behind that bush in a second. Here she comes. See how as she concentrates, the mouth closes, almost pulling her whole body into sort of a streamlined sort of state. Around us, having a look, I don't see any animals that have spotted anything. Okay, well, it seems like the dust in Djuma has clearly settled due to the rainfall. Let's go and see how Tristan Dix, with his marvelous new haircut, is doing.
Not happy, no, you're right, Sebastian. This is not ideal in any way, shape or form. There's one part of my job that is probably my absolute worst, is this, driving around in rain when it's cold. I like many things and do many things, but this is one of my worst. I always say it, I always have to reconsider my life when I have choices, when I kind of drive around like this. It is seriously miserable. It's freezing cold. It's now raining quite hard, actually, a lot harder than I initially thought it was going to rain, and it's starting to get rather miserable out here, and in fact pretty tricky. One thing that is a positive, and a ray of sunshine in the gloominess, is that I found my gloves. Who knew that these gloves were even on the car? So I had freezing cold hands all morning because I didn't know where my gloves were, but I found them in the chaos of putting rain covers on. Somehow my gloves just showed up. They turned up out of the blue. Yes, Emma, every cloud. It's okay, Emma, I'm going to come and put you on this car, and we're going to drive you around, and you can see how much of a silver lining you find in the cloudy weather like this. It's quite tricky to find a silver lining when you're being pelted. Now, you might also see there's a cloth every now and then. That's poor Sebastian doing some lens management, which is him trying to just kind of keep everything dry, which there's no chance at this stage. The rain is coming in at a 45-degree angle, and so there's pretty much going to get in everywhere no matter what we really do. So what we're trying to do at the moment is we're just trying to kind of slowly bumble about. I'm not driving very fast, not because of the weather being foul, more that I just trying to keep my equipment as dry as possible. And so if I drive too fast, we just suck more rain in. So it's just a slow and steady kind of drive at the moment, and hopefully that will yield some sort of results and our wild dogs will come out. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, we're going to try and keep soldiering on for the remainder of the drives. Hopefully we'll be rewarded with something. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you back across to Steve, who's probably got a smile from ear to ear as he drives through the glorious sunshine of the Masai Mara.
Very dry here, but I know last time Tristan was up here he was swimming. So the roles have reversed, and we are still with our lions. They have gone flat in the grass. Something, that sort of sixth sense within animals' sort of bellies, jolted the animals, and although you can't see the lions there, all of the animals that were here spread out on the plains, they were much closer. Something happened to them and they just all kind of moved off. They have no idea where the animals are. They're looking in every which direction. So once again, the lions will just go flat and wait, and this could go on all day. This could be successful quite quickly. It really depends on which way animals move and which way they run. So it could go in any direction. But here you can see how much further away those animals have moved. A little bit further in the distance, but now once again we're up to the 100-odd meter mark, 100-odd yard mark, and all the progress that the lions seem to be making seems to be dwindling every time, and that is due to the fact that these animals are in a big herd. And that one of the benefits of being in a large herd, if there was a zebra or a wildebeest on its own or in a very small group, chances are much, much higher for the lions. There's that feeling inside your tummy when you just know something's not right, something's amiss, and don't know what it is that happened. They all just bolted. Okay. And this is probably the time when both lioness will probably get up and move into the shade. The one was already in the shade. This other one's up now. She's moving around to where her sister is. They might just go and lie down there for a little while. Let everything blow over. Let all the nerves settle. She's still stalking, though, to get close to her sister. Her sister should just be there in the shade. Yeah, she should be right there next to her now. So that's where they're going to bide their time. And the temperature has increased quite substantially from the moment they started their initial stalk. So this is when the herbivore animals started to get a little bit more relaxed because, well, invariably when it's this hot, lions aren't as active because it costs a lot of energy to do so. And the importance of beautiful shade trees. Okay, maybe she's not done yet, or maybe she's just looking for a really nice shady spot. Let's see what's going on in the mind. Gillian, there's something very, very awesome about watching a large cat stalk. Really something special about it. And it's just nature playing out in front of you. And all of those sort of strategies that they have, although they are very good at what they do, just the arms race between the predator and the prey animal is constantly going. All these animals have evolved together on this landscape, and although we see these killing machines with powerful, very good stalking, the prey animals in their herds have just as much sort of defense against the onslaught. So it's a constant battle. And now it is time for some well-needed grooming. I don't think they're quite over yet. Oh no, I think that's it for now. They're going to just relax now in the shade of the tree, and hopefully something will come towards them. Looking back in the direction from where we left those two young lioness this morning, we were aware that there was another lion somewhere in the long grass on our way through when we found these two. We didn't actually see it, so whether she is playing a part in this hunt that we have no idea about at the moment, it's possible that she is looking in the direction of a sister. We'll keep our eyes peeled, because you spend time out here and lions just start popping out of everywhere, being very camouflaged and low down in the grass. We aren't very tall, so we can't really see what's going on. That's what makes it so easy for them. What a morning. Everyone is enjoying. Well, the lions are clearly hungry, but it's about the effort that goes into it. You know that feeling when you're sitting very comfortably on the couch and you're really hungry? How much effort is it going to take to go up and, you know, if there's food just in the fridge, it's easy. You know, takeaway. I think that's why takeaway food is so popular these days. But you know that feeling when you wake up and you're not feeling the greatest, and you still have to go to the shop to buy food. And oh my word, what an effort! So it's all about the effort that it takes to get the food in, and that's why fast food and delivery services make such a lot of money these days, because of energy. And if you can think about that, everything in life is all about energy. The costs of energy to do something need to obviously be less than the costs coming in. Otherwise, no, there'll be no sustainability. And nature is all in balance. Lions will only kill one zebra out of this group, if they do today. There are thousands on the plains, so but the energy involved is well earned, and the energy of the zebra is well deserved if received. Okay, well, it looks like they are most certainly going to make themselves comfortable now. There we go. Grace, I don't think so. I don't think they're any taller. I might have a little look in my book. I know that the Kalahari lions are the biggest lions. They're the same species, but from a sort of body size perspective, they are bigger than the South African lions, or should I say the Kruger National Park lions. Up here, they look to me, just from what I've seen, they look pretty much exactly the same. They maybe have more of a bigger food diet here, so maybe they can get slightly bigger. But the reason why the Kalahari lions are bigger, it's because the prey items that they get are very large, and also because of temperature. And the larger your body is, the longer it takes you to actually heat up, and also the longer it takes you to cool down. And the Kalahari is actually a desert, so it can get very hot and it can also get very, very cold. So the body out there of the animals needs to be a little bit bigger. So, for example, they feed on eland and gemsbok as sort of staple food out there, and the lion pride's individuals need to be able to take down those animals. So their size is slightly bigger. I just need to find it in my book. Obviously, taking me longer than anticipated. And you'd think it'd be easy to find lion in a book, but index is always the way to go. So I'll have a quick look, because this book gives you a good indication of the variations in them, but it doesn't really say too much. I mean, it shows you where they're distributed, but it doesn't give you any difference in size. But I know for a fact that the Kalahari lions are bigger, but you know, you get lions in the Kruger Park that are bigger than other lions in the Kruger Park. That's a genetic sort of variation. But in the Kalahari, lions that are bigger do better, so that trait moves forward. So they've basically nurtured the larger gene. But up here, just from what I've seen, they look very, very similar in size. I don't think there's too much to go with. Maybe a few pounds left or right, and maybe a few centimeters either way, but I don't think there's too much. I mean, invariably in the book it just says males are 1.2 meters in height, shoulder height, whereas females are 1 meter. And the weights in males can go from 150 to 225 kilograms, so about 500 pounds or so. I've known of lions recorded that weigh up to 280 kilograms. I didn't weigh him myself, it's just a discussion I've had with someone. 280 kilograms, that's a lot. That is a big lion. It's a very big lion. Anyway, I don't think either of these two weigh nearly that sort of amount. Anyway, let's have a little pan across here and have a look at the smorgasbord, James, if you will, of the wildebeest and zebra that are feeding and waiting. Just a quick little scan of the dry, rolling plains of the Masai Mara. Beautiful, beautiful. Enjoying a little bit of shade themselves. But again, from the sunny Masai Mara, let's go back down to Taylor McCurdy, who is still battling the rain.
We are wrapped up and frozen. We've had to put all our rain covers down and put the rain covers on as it's pouring down, and because it's raining so much we can only go north, because if we turn to the west and to the south then the rain comes straight into the car. So we're not getting saturated, so we shall be driving north. The rest of Twin Dams will go across the dam wall along Mvubu Road, and then we'll drive Gallagher, and then hopefully by that time we'll only have to do a quick dash into the rain to get back to camp. That's our plan, that's how we're doing it. Now, we haven't really got any animals, so now's an opportunity for you guys to ask conversational questions. We can do DNCs, drive-in chats, my favorite. So we can do some of those, and then I think we're ready to play the breakfast game. Darby and I actually started playing it when we first got in the car this morning. We were so excited for breakfast already. I was talking about, this is what I feel like today. Okay, you ready for it? I feel like hash browns, but that are really crispy potato hash browns on the outside and very, very soft and fluffy, topped with 2 poached eggs done soft, please. I must have that runny yolk. And then some spinach, roasted cherry tomatoes, I think, and then some like mixed sort of mushrooms and stuff like that that have been cooked in butter and garlic. And then all that together, topped with hollandaise sauce, and then a drizzle of a balsamic glaze. I would be so chuffed if I could have that for breakfast, please. I'll make it myself, Emma. I'm not asking anyone else to make it. That's what I always have for breakfast when I'm on holiday. I literally make that all the time. Otherwise, I'm going to settle for scrambled eggs on toast. Fresh toast. It's farm salted butter. Maybe. Honest, yes. Also, if I'm going to do scrambled eggs, I might do a little bit of cream cheese and as well as sun-dried tomatoes. Now I'm ravenous. Let's go home, Darby. Let's go whip up some breakfast. We then also spoke about Craig, who's dropping VM off in town today, about him maybe getting us takeaway burgers too, because I think that's probably, are we still going to do that, Darby? We're going to do that as a little snack later. So I think we might be tucking into some takeaways. I'm so excited. I love days like this when it's a little bit rainy. I know it just doesn't like them much. I only like them when I'm not getting wet. Then I'm fine, which I've managed to avoid, sort of. But now we've got to go across the dam wall quickly because the side winds are going to get us. Go, go, go! Worry, we're going to turn left just now. Sharon, I don't know about a favorite American food, to be honest. I don't know. I like all food as long as it doesn't have beans, and I like olives on a pizza, but I won't eat an olive just by itself because I think that's wrong. What else don't I like? Bananas. I even tell people that I'm allergic to bananas. That's how much I despise them. So that when I go to restaurants, I'm like, I'm allergic. Just because I don't want them to put it anywhere near my food, or even use the same knife. I'll taste that banana. What else do I do? What else don't I like? I don't know. I think that's all. And then I'm happy to kind of eat everything else. Then I don't mind. What don't I like? I don't like seafood when it's not fresh. So I don't eat like any fish unless I'm on the coast, and I know where it's come from. I'm so fussy about stuff like that. People say I'm a nuisance sometimes, but I don't care. We'll have our quirks. Darby, what? I don't know, they're tired of us talking about food now, but Tristan also loves food just as much as the rest of us because it's delicious. Let's go and see what he wants for breakfast.
Well, Taylor, I haven't really decided, but the hash browns sounded very, very good. Those sounded amazing, so we'll go with the hash browns. I don't know what else I feel like. As long as it's warm. Seb I was saying even soup will do at this stage because of how kind of cold it is at the moment. And so anything that's warm will be delightful, to be honest. I feel like Louise does like a breakfast soup. Most people actually in our camp like a breakfast soup. Kirsty's a big fan as well as Jerry, I think. Also likes a little breakfast soup action. So, you know, there's a number of us that will do a bit of breakfast soup if it's a good cold day like today. Alicia and yourself haven't had breakfast soup, Emma. That's disappointing. Well, hopefully today we'll get breakfast soup. Breakfast soup is the best thing. It's not actually breakfast items made into soup before people start panicking that we just take eggs and bacon and just mush it into a soup. That's not really what happens. We generally have like a butternut soup or a potato and leek soup or a tomato, like a little spicy tomato soup that's hot. So, you know, those are the kind of soups we have for breakfast. They really are quite delicious sometimes and certainly hit the spot when it's cold like this. So hopefully we'll get breakfast soup. What else do we want? I don't know, as long as it's warm and as long as there's a hot chocolate going when we get back, that'll also work as well, because it is very ugly out here at the moment. Not very pleasant at all. I feel sorry for the animals, you know, at least we can go and get dry and go into a little house where it's nice and warm, but the poor animals have to just sit in this all day long. Betty, touch and go whether it's enough to green things up. I do think we are going to see some shoots starting to come out and starting to, a couple of the trees starting to leaf. In fact, if you look
at this marula over here, the one that's straight ahead of us, Seb.
Yeah.
So you can see that there is some greenery starting to come out on the marula there, that one, and even the one to its left, closer towards us, has also started to leaf and to show signs. So all of these trees that look a bit barren, there's leaves starting on them. So I think this rain will definitely be enough to kickstart the marulas and probably the bush willows. The bush willows, they just smell rain and they start to produce leaves. And so I think we're going to see a very different environment in a week's time. It's not going to look quite the same. The grass I don't think will grow. I don't think we'll get green grass just yet. There might be a few little shoots here and there, but I don't think there'll be much in that regard. But there definitely is going to be greening up of the trees itself. And it depends on how much rain we get today. If this rain carries on the entire day like this, then we most definitely will see very, very green trees and grasses and bushes by the end of the week. It will be a very different environment. What I can tell you though is that this is going to mean a very different behavior when it comes to a lot of our animals. I mean, you know, we're not going to have animals kind of spending all their time around water points now. If little mud wallows start to fill up and those kind of things, they'll go drink there as well. So Hosanna is definitely not going to be as prevalent as what he was around the camp. It's also going to mean that tracking is going to become a very, very difficult exercise, because this rain is going to form a crust. Everything is going to get very crusty on the surface, and it's going to make it quite tricky to see tracks. So it's going to be a much harder time to find animals than what we have had. We've had a great honeymoon kind of period where we've had this amazing amount of animals, and so it's, you know, it had to end at some point. But anyway, we're going to try and see if we can scratch something out before the end of drive. While we do that though, let's send you back across to the man of the day who's held the show, Steve, with his lions, and hopefully they'll provide us with some more entertainment.
Well, we've decided to leave the lions. They are flat in the grass, flat as can be. We're going to see if we can find anything else on our way back. There's all sorts of things to be seen out in the Masai Mara. Maybe those two youngsters are a little bit more visible than before. But those two lioness are now flat, and they've decided it's time for their cat nap. So on we go. What a marvelous time we've had with them out here. A few vehicles have finally joined us. We're getting a bit concerned that we probably were in an area we couldn't off-road, but we knew we were. But cars were staying by the road and they hadn't come off. But we've just had a long chat with one of the rangers now, and yes, indeed, we are in the right place. James and I are both happy. What a lovely morning. So back to the road. And just have a look at the grass in front of us. It's just enormous amounts of grass. Really, really special when you consider what's going on down in Djuma with regards to no grass. It's just a different place altogether. Hello, Connie Vade. Do you want to know in the Mara what time of year we see the most variety of creatures? Well, it's probably now the migration. So migration sort of started happening around July through to now October. So the birds are here, all the mammals are here. So from a point of view of seeing diversity of animals, now is the time. Thousands and thousands of animals around. When I was here in February, there wasn't as many game around. Still plenty of animals, but nowhere near what you see now. But the birds, I don't think, really change. They still, a lot of them don't migrate, so they stay here. So this is a very good time. And if you come a little bit earlier, it's very wet and a good chance of you getting stuck. So obviously if you're coming with a guide or something like that, that's really his problem, getting stuck. But this time of year, really, really nice, because these roads are accessible, and the off-roading as well. Very rich clay soil. So if it's very wet, you could get stuck quite easily. So, and everyone who works with me who gets stuck joins what they call the Marshmallow Club, which, touch wood, I still have not formed a part of. Anyway, it is a nice time of year, and the temperature's pretty much standard throughout the year. We are on the equator, so the sun rises and sets at the same time of day. So when you go to places like South Africa, the game viewing is variable between summer and winter. I love sort of September in the Kruger National Park due to the dryness, due to the sort of the abundance of predators, or the ease with which you can find predators, and the animals are really struggling. The bush is quite 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 flat, no leaves, so quite easy to get around, and everything's concentrated towards watering holes and things like that. So a good place and a good time. But if you like animals, you like baby animals, you like lots of birds, then the summer months in South Africa are the best times to be there. But I'm sure Taylor McCurdy will have her own opinion on when is the best time and the diversity, so let's go get her thoughts.
All the time? I don't know. What are we talking about? So I must have missed something about that conversation. No, my hair is going to get wet. Stay on, Hood. The wind is blowing straight towards us. When do I think is the best time to see all the creatures? I suppose it depends on what area it is. I got really excited just now because I thought I heard a Breviceps dispersus pantheri. You know what that is? No, that's the only Latin name of one of the frogs that I know. It's my favorite frog, the bushveld rain frog. And I stopped quickly and I thought, oh, they're calling. And the smell of petrichor filled the air and I was amped and I thought, next minute a snail's going to come slithering. No, snails don't slither. What do snails do? What move? No, they don't smush. That's the sound you make if you squash one, Emma. But what? Slop? What do someone help us? What move? How would you sliding? What would you use to describe how a snail moves? Because I can't, and apparently no one else can either, because we're not coming up with very good ones. So please let us know, #SafariLive. Anyways, there wasn't a frog. It was a bird that tweeted that sounded a little bit similar. I think I just wanted it to be a frog. I don't know if a snail scoots. A scooting snail? Maybe. Yeah, I suppose they do scoot, eh? There's like a baby scooting along the floor. Snails do something similar. Oh, it's so miserable. Stay on, Hood. So yes, whatever snails do, that's what they do. I'm so sorry, I'm hiding away from all of you because it's miserable now, and the rain and the wind and my hair. They glide, says Ian. Gliding, so yes, that they do. They're like ice skaters. They just glide across the surface of the road. Go snails, go. Maybe we'll see some. I think we need a whole bunch more rain though to bring out those critters. I mean, the rain we've had now is barely enough, I think, to even change the color of the grass. So it's kind of just stopping the dust, which is pleasant. But I don't think, unfortunately, it is going to green anything up just yet. We need about 20 or 30 mils of rain. I think that would be really good. But whether we'll get it with this wind, I doubt it. I think it's going to keep everything at bay. Goodness gracious. Right. Now I don't have much time left, so I'm going to send you to Tristan to see what he thinks, or what words he would use to describe the movements of a snail.
Well, if we go along the lines of what's happened during the course of the week, apparently snails bound along the road. But no, the movement of a snail would be a slithery snail. I think slithery is a good word for a snail. Look, there goes Taylor McCurdy. She's trying to slither like a snail home. See, she's just going straight home there. She's not even stopping for 1 second. She's just going to wave us goodbye, and she's going to go and park Wendy in its little bay and hop off. And that's the end of Taylor McCurdy for this drive. You can see, look, they've even put the aerial down. That's how quickly they want to get back. So David in the back there has decided aerial down, and he's finished with this morning's drive, and there they go, disappearing into the bush. So those are not creatures of the rain. They are creatures that like the rain, and then there are others that don't, and those are creatures that do not. I am not going to lie, I'm one of the same creature as well, and we are also plotting our course for home because of this not very nice weather that doesn't make doing filming of wildlife a very easy job at all when it rains like this. It makes things a little bit difficult. What's quite interesting is that if you have a look here, you can see that there is quite a bit of water that's actually developed on the road there, a lot more than I actually thought. It's a long time since I've seen a puddle
on the road. And we had a bit of rain during the Gauntlet series, where we had this kind of develop. The one morning we had a few puddles out and about, but it disappeared quite quickly. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of what nature's response is to this. If it's cold and windy and that water drains away, then you probably find that we're not going to see too much of a change. But if it gets nice and warm in the next couple of days, well, we should have an explosion of life. And I'm hoping we'll start to see winged owlets coming out, and that will bring a lot of the migratory birds in as well. So, you know, rain, as much as it's a pain for us on Game Drive, is vitally important for this ecosystem, and so we need the rain to fall. But it is that time that we are going to head home. It is time to go and get dry and warm and to get out of wet clothes. And so it's been an absolute pleasure having you along for the ride this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well, and that you don't mind that we didn't see too much in the last hour when the rain started. But at least it seemed to be a fun start to the day, and Steve did a good job too. So from Taylor, Steve and myself, all the cam ops, Emma in Final Control, been an absolute pleasure, like I said, and we'll see you all this afternoon for our sunset. So